And you see the iguanas normally. They spit at you and you walk by, they're like... And no, nobody told me about that. I didn't even know why I was in the Galapagos. And I'm terrified. I remember Jurassic Park. Those little bastards, they're going to like spit some poison at me like they did to that fat guy.
Yeah. The jeepneys, man. I got to ride inside of those, on top of those, on the side of those.
On top?
Where the hell
did you go?
I mean, some places,
man,
like...
They robbed this dude at Machete Point outside of one of the highest rated hostels in the city called Santa Marta. It was like 6 guys. They made him open his phone and change the passwords on it.
Think about this for a minute. Bolivia is the #1 producer of coke. The #1 consumer of coke is the United States. So why would you treat your best consumer that way?
Привет, Alexander.
Brother. How about yourself?
Я хочу яйца на завтрак. That's the extent of my language learning.
Well, you'd have to order more than just eggs.
Vodka.
After the night of drinking that we're gonna have here, I think you're gonna have to have more than just eggs, bro.
Well, cheers, brother. It's great to see you.
Prost. Na zdrowie.
Na zdrowie. Budma, hey. It looks like you are... Okay, so I'm trying to make this more professional now. We should go with introductions. First of all, where the hell are you? Are you in a van?
I am in my aunt's SUV that I bought from her last year.
And you're like driving around, camping in it, right?
I'm in the middle of nowhere, Arizona right now. Yeah, dude. I've been dirt bagging it for 3 months now. And this country of ours is very blessed with having so many dispersed camp spots where you don't have to pay or anything. So really, man, you know, it's like I say, if you want to go into that dirtbag lifestyle, you could just forget about paying rent. And I mean, really, all your expenses come down to groceries and gas, pretty much. So it's doable.
You're really underselling it. I've been looking at your photos online.
It's not pretty. Well, I'm only showing the night side of travel. I'm not showing not showering for a week.
Well, it looks cozy. I mean, so you're a little bit French and you're living in a Hong Kong-sized apartment.
Well, yeah, you could say you live
Very
in
multicultural.
You live in like a Japanese pod, hostel style SUV with maybe a few more conveniences.
I love it.
But
when you did the little oven thing where you put the hatch down in the back, or not the oven thing, you just had like a table set up out in the wilderness.
The table's like a ring. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know it seems simple, but you have a beautiful backdrop with the mountains and all sorts of rock formations, and it's super amazing.
Walmart parking lot sometimes, yeah. Some of that background.
Well, you know, you meet different type of people in the Walmart parking lot.
Well,
so
yeah, I'd say that's the most interesting and the least favorite place to park at for sure.
I think you're not going to sleep so well there. Maybe worse than a hostel. So
no, you don't even realize like what kind of drag racing and shit happens at Walmart every night until you start camping there.
You're like the Walmart warden of the parking lot. Hey, everybody, pay the toll. All right, street racing, let's go.
Oh shit!
So we met. Let's at least talk a little bit about that. How we met, where we met. We met. Galapagos Islands 2022, shortly after some of the COVID restrictions were removed, in a hostel on the main island. And let's see, that I believe it's where we met, and that was sort of maybe the start of a huge adventure that you had across the world. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah, I was about a month into it. I Traveled
I think we might
Colombia
have a
for
little
about a
delay
month.
with internet
Oh,
connections.
really? Hey,
Yeah, so
while you're thinking about it, to go with the whole hat theme, because you got your fucking Captain Morgan
yeah.
pirate hat going. I don't have quite the Heisenberg hat, but I'll join you in the hat party.
My God, you're like his non-handicapped son. That's great. I love it. Cheers to that.
Yeah,
We
like
got to have a little bit of fun. I'm so tired of just being
exactly.
beige. That's what I love about traveling is you get to be. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Tell me about, or tell everyone about sort of just a brief overview of your travels, like where you started,
Yeah.
some of the countries you went to, and then we'll get into it as we go. Because when I was watching you travel after you left Ecuador, it was just so cool. You were going to all these amazing, beautiful, crazy places. I think you said you were in Indonesia as well, and Japan. Oh my gosh, my favorite place to visit. And the best food in the world. I'm sorry, Europe. It's Japan. Sicily, you're one notch below. Sorry. So yeah. And I think it was also your first time solo traveling, which makes it really fun.
Yeah, so I'll give you the background on just the overall idea for the trip. Man, I didn't even think about doing that back in 2018, 2019. I was working my ass off back in the States, and I really was just setting up money to buy a house, follow the American dream, the Russian way.
Yeah.
And once 2019 hit and all the goddamn Californians started moving out of state and moving into all the neighboring states, Arizona, Oregon, even as far as Wyoming and goddamn Texas, man. I was priced out. It was like 8 years of work were just worthless after that because you had crazy high mortgage rates and crazy high prices. And I thought, shit, man, I can't even afford a goddamn studio apartment at this point. I don't want to overpay and then get into a housing crisis like 5 years down the road where
and
it's
dropped
worthless.
tremendously since I think 2022. Yeah.
I don't know about that, but
depending on the market, maybe.
Everything
When I was looking
is
at Austin,
cyclical, right?
it was like here at 2022, and now it's here, which is still higher than 10 years ago. But so anyway, I think it was a good move.
So I thought, what the hell am I gonna do? And people had been encouraging me to travel throughout the years, and I had really never gave it a thought. But then I thought, okay, fuck it, let's go for it and see what that's like. And I told my boss about probably 6 months ahead of my trip that I was gonna leave, and she was trying to convince, like, okay, dude, I'm gonna give you 3 months vacation, instead of 3 weeks, and fucking you can just come back and stay. Maybe you're not gonna like it. And usually I tend to go in extreme ways in my life. It's like a total change. It's sort of an all or nothing thing. And I told her, no, it's got to be at least a year. And I'm like the lucky French bastards that get their sabbaticals for a year. They come back, they still have the job. In the States, you either work or you...
Man, we really get the short end of the stick. I mean, honestly, we're fucked. You have that funny thing, because no one hates Americans more than Americans. It's so annoying. And you have that funny thing where they say, oh, well, nobody in America has a passport. We're so uncultured, blah, 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 blah. Bitch, you only get 2 weeks off. You take more than that, you're fucked. Yeah, some jobs maybe give you a month, but it's nothing like you were talking about with the French or the Australians. Same thing. Oh my gosh. And they get paid to get higher level degrees as well. I mean, I don't even know how we can stay afloat just compared to other places. I guess because we just have to fight for everything. So it makes you a little bit tougher, or you just die. But
I mean, you have to basically
we don't have that culture.
You have to be a part of the capitalist money-making machine, or you're out. You know, you no longer serve a purpose to the company.
I met a girl that worked at the New York Times. We were in Vienna. One of the last times I was still at the hostel there. I hate that hostel. Austrian hostels suck. And we're all at the table having drinks. Everyone just met that night, all solo travelers. And she had been away from her job for 5 days. And she said that she was already getting super stressed out about not working. 5 days, including the weekend. And she was really worried maybe she's going to be replaceable, or they're going to think she's not a hard worker. And we talked about all sorts of things that night, all of us did, but that story just stuck with me because I've been privileged with being sort of the original work online person. And to just see someone so scared and so stressed out about not working for 5 days, 2 of which were Saturday and Sunday. I was just like, damn, that life sucks. Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Yeah, no. Yeah, and that's why you don't see a lot of Americans traveling overseas, especially in the hostel setting. I mean, over the course of 16 months that I traveled, I probably met, including you, like 4 Americans maybe.
You went to some pretty cool places, to be fair. You didn't just go to like basic tourist places.
No, true. But actually, it's cool because I ended up staying in contact with all you guys and coming back home and getting some information on, say, like traveling in Utah from the guy that I met in Brazil. That's a story on its own. Like the dude used to be a Mormon missionary that spent over a year in Sao Paulo.
And then he saw the girls dancing.
Dude, and then he said, yeah, exactly. He just fucking got the hell out of that religion and said, fuck it, I'm going to go into
the
partying and drinking beer and hang out with him. Exactly. It just opened his eyes. You know, to be fair, I think if you're going to be, what's the term? They're repatriated or whatever it is they call Sao Paulo. Brazil is the way to go, man. You know, if you want to stop being a Mormon, that's where you got to go. That's
where the devil's path begins.
Yeah, no. That's like what all the sins are, just convincing you to quit that lifestyle.
Well,
but anyway, just to go back to your question here. So, I started researching different resources like Broke Backpackers and what's that one? Matt, I can't remember his last name, but the dude had been traveling since,
just some online bloggers.
Like the early 2000s. Yeah. And they were talking about letting on $50 per day, maybe less, depending on the country.
Which Americans can't even comprehend, right? They're like, oh, my hotel's going to cost more than that. I can't leave.
The typical American vacation is 2 weeks. You pay $3,000-$4,000, and you travel with the same group of goddamn American people. So you really do not get to integrate with the locals, or you know,
just do nothing exciting. You just do nothing exciting.
Even experience.
You have your break.
No.
It's got merits, but I hate it when Americans say it's expensive to travel. It's expensive to get your ass to Europe. Once you're there, it's not expensive. Once you get yourself somewhere, it's not expensive. You just gotta stop like being addicted to all of your luxuries, one of which is space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Space and filling that space with a bunch of shit you don't. But anyway.
I'm on dryers, by the way. Dryers are my big thing
that?
When I come back to America. For luxury, I'm always talking about dryers. Americans don't realize how much of the world doesn't have a dryer. And they'll come up with reasons why they need a dryer, why we need a dryer, right? I'm American. No, you
Dude,
don't
another
need a dryer.
thing is another thing is ice makers. Like they don't comprehend why they in Europe they can't give them water with ice in it. Like, what condition?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, air conditioning. That's a funny one. I was so cold when I was in Texas. I've never seen more air conditioning. But then also, if you spend time in places that don't have these luxuries, you're like, okay, here's the deal. You have 1 week of hell. Once you get past that 1 week, you're acclimated to it. Bam. Just saved you a couple $1,000s a year for air conditioning wherever the hell you are. I don't know.
Or you know, dude, when you go to Southeast Asia or South America and it's pretty much just a tropical climate every goddamn day, and all they have is a cold shower, and that feels fucking great.
Or the worst is actually just a mildly warm shower with no temperature. I mean, it is fun.
Dude, the worst is mildly warm, and you've got that electric heater that you have to adjust.
Have you ever electrocuted yourself from that?
No, dude, because what I did is I had read about it before my trip, and I knew not to adjust it while you're taking the shower. You got to do it beforehand.
Told me. Man, I love these places are basically like, you know, when you're 12 or you're 13 and you're like, why don't they do this? Well, in some of these places, nobody ever answered that question, so they just did it. Like, why don't we just have exposed electrical wires that are twisted together right above your head, like right here in the shower, and then connected to an electrical heater? Sure. And we'll just have it all connected to a plastic PVC pipe that comes out of the concrete wall. Why not? What are brackets? I don't know. Just put it together with some tape. I was in Cartagena in a hotel, and it wasn't a luxury hotel. It was just a very cute hotel. Like, you know, you want to stay in a cute hotel. And it had lots of colors and everything. And I just went up, man. And I'd used them before, so I thought I'll be okay. And I flipped it. It shocked my whole hand. Son of a bitch was numb for 15 minutes. I was really freaking out.
Yeah.
It was just like tingly and then painful. And then I couldn't feel the tips. And then I was like, oh, okay. Now I'm terrified to shower. Sorry, everyone. I'm just going to smell bad. Fuck that. I never saw that in Southeast Asia. I only saw it in South America, but...
Man, I think out of all the people that I know, you've hurt yourself the most. I mean, you told me that story about scraping your forearms after falling off a scooter in Vietnam, I think it was. And
I must have told everyone about that.
Dude, the shittiest part was when you talked to that nurse chick and she told you, I'm sorry to tell you, but you gotta go in the shower and scrape all that overgrown skin off until you get all the rot and string and whatever shit you had under there off. And, oh man, that was, I mean, I don't know how you didn't pass out in that shower, dude.
Yeah. It's going to be actually funny with all of these episodes strung together because the girl in the first one, Nicole, also mentioned that. So it's going to sound like I tell the same stories to everyone. Maybe I do. I don't know. But that was such a crazy one.
Yeah.
You
never
have to do that.
That's the best one.
But yeah, it was exactly what you described. And it wasn't a pain of passing out. The hardest thing was just you have to overcome the pain to continue scraping out the overgrown skin because everything had infected underneath it. And that was just the hardest part, to force yourself to hurt yourself because some girl that you met for 40 minutes at the White Temple in Chiang Rai messaged you that day, and she's a nurse, and she told you you should do it. So you're doing it instead of going to the hospital.
Shit.
And then pouring hydrogen peroxide in it after that. Oh my gosh. Man, better than coffee.
No, dude, I've had my fair share of fuck ups like that too. And the worst one that comes to mind was in Peru. The place I hate the most to date is a beach town called Mancorra.
Oh my God.
Is,
thank you. Fucking thank you. Continue. And they love it, by the way. This is why I never say that to Peruvian people because it's their vacation destination. But continue.
So that was after my time in Ecuador.
You came down and probably went over land.
Yeah. So my French girlfriend and I at the time, we went down through the border. First place we stop in is Mancorra, and there isn't much to do there besides surfing and fucking eating ceviche, you know? And
it's funny how you can get tired of ceviche, right? People don't believe it, but you can.
I know, dude. And it's spicy there too. That Peruvian ceviche, it'll kick your ass for sure.
Oh, it's ceviche every day, all day, every day. And then some chicharron, which is for them, I think, is just fried calamari, basically. It's a little bit different in every place.
You know, out here in the States, for the appetizer, they always serve, at a Mexican restaurant, they serve homemade chips.
Yeah.
Well, in Peru, it's the corn nuts or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, they have so much corn. It's great. So what was it like in Mancorra?
So I don't care for it at all, but whatever. We end up staying there.
Hit me with it. I want to hear the full thing. I've got some hatred.
A couple of nights. I mean, it's fucking overpriced to begin with. And, dude, you go to withdraw money at an ATM, it charges you a crazy fucking percent to do that. And, like I say, it's mostly surfers and, like say locals hanging out, going for their vacation. But what ended up happening to me was that, we went to, seafood place, and I can't exactly say that was the culprit to the whole thing, but
probably was.
It probably was. I had a poke bowl, and I imagine the fish might have not been a whole lot fresh.
So you got your food poisoning there.
I did. The next day, I just have this pain like somebody stabbing me in the stomach with a goddamn Turkish knife, you know?
And doing the little dance afterwards, the twirling dervish dance, like,
I have fucking diarrhea. I mean, I can't do shit. I try to drink Gatorade or whatever the hell kind of Peruvian version they have, and none of that shit helps. And so that night we end up taking a bus to, I can't remember where.
Trujillo.
I think is
you
where
took that
went,
with diarrhea? It's like an 8-hour bus with speed bumps every mile on the highway of the Americas.
I was going through like Dante's 9 gates of hell at this point. And my dumbass...
People don't understand how bad the speed bumps are, too. They floor it, and then they slam on the brakes, and they go over them. It's a huge speed bump. You can't sleep when you take the night bus, and then floor it again, just jostling your insides.
And you definitely can't sleep when you have a case of diarrhea, because you're like, goddamn, you know, I hope I don't have to change my pants in the middle of the night with everybody looking, but that thankfully did not happen. But what did happen was that my dumb ass thought, okay, this is fucking Peru, and I'm kind of afraid of taking an antibiotic, because if I do that, I'm just going to destroy everything in my gut. And if I get sick again, shit, I might not recover for a really long time after that, you know?
So is this in Trujillo where you're having this?
Yeah, in Trujillo. And so I say, I'm going to try to take some probiotics, try to build up that got health back. And with moderate success, I do end up doing that. But long story short, I ended up having that fucking diarrhea last for about the next 3 weeks. And so pretty much all of my time in Peru was on and off diarrhea.
While you're traveling.
Onset stomach aches that just killed me. And finally, I just said, okay, fuck it. I'm going to take that antibiotic because my girlfriend was really pissed at me at this point. She's like, you're fucking stupid, dude, you know? And so I said, okay, you went. She was like, yeah, she's smoking it. I was like, you fucking idiot. Yeah.
Napoleon would have taken the antibiotic.
Maybe the violence. So I do end up taking it, and yeah, she was right all along. I admit it. The next day, it was like nothing ever happened. But,
really? 3 weeks of hell,
holy shit!
And then
we went to do you know Juarez, where they have a bunch of glacial lakes?
Yeah. I've heard of it. I didn't go.
That was the most painful hike of my life. I mean, I looked like
I saw your photos there. Yeah. Go on.
I just did tons of heroin in some of those photos because I was pale as a ghost and my face looked like I'd rather be fucking dead than do this shit. But I did end up going to the lake and back. But holy crap, dude, that was the most painful hiking.
That was in the middle of all of the food poisoning.
Yeah, it was like exactly maybe 2 weeks into the trip in Peru.
People,
Jesus.
People don't talk about all the food poisoning that happens in South America, and it is a lot. I thought in Southeast Asia, where I went first, that I would get food poisoning, and I never did. I took a lot of precautions. I was a little bit OCD. I didn't eat fish ever, a few other things, but no one ever warned me about South America. Everyone was like, it's so beautiful. And I was like, shitting my brains out for 10 fucking days. Feel like I'm gonna die. I'm all alone. and I ended up getting food poisoning I think 3 times in Colombia or 2 times in Colombia. I don't remember. The worst was in Peru as well. Yeah, Iquitos. It doesn't feel like Peru. It's another world. Mancorra, we just got regular sick. I was in a dorm. Stayed there for a few nights, was going to leave. Hate the place, just like you. I hate the place, but oh my God. I want to tell 2 stories real quick. Everyone in my dorm room ended up getting sick. And then we all went to the store and just bought some medicine that our hostel guy who was smoking weed every day told us to buy. And we're all desperate. So we're like, all right, we'll listen to fucking Cheech be our little doctor. And you buy whatever you want at the pharmacies. So there's no protection. Like you are your doctor. So Cheech doctored us. We drank a bunch of, I guess, cough syrup. I never slept better in my life. Gotta be honest with you. Never slept better in my life. Still sick for 5 more days. Then got every other backpacker that got there sick. Like our whole room was the epicenter of disease. Then some girl came who, not in Iquitos, but I think in the city Leticia, further down the Amazon, she got food poisoning that ended up being like a worm or some sort of E. coli infection or something. And then another infection. And then she came to the hostel. Some guy came on a moped to give her a blood test. So she ordered a blood test. He drives up on a moped. He takes her blood and then drives away. It's just the most ghetto thing ever. And she's a nurse in Canada, Quebecois. And it's funny when you get sick down there, just the way things are done. It's nothing is really professional, but you can get any drug that you want. So you just got to be careful. The stories I wanted to tell. A Venezuelan guy tried to rob me on the street when I was there with a lovely gal, which is actually a very interesting story. I met her at the border. We became great friends. I brought some alcohol with me. We became better friends and better friends. And I don't think I'm drinking enough to tell all those stories, but we are 2 p.m. on the main drag in Mancorra, which is a small place. And we're going to make Coco Locos. So the coconuts with rum in them.
With aguardiente?
Yeah,
Or,
aguardiente. Anyway, I don't know what has it, but it's in a coconut. So you drink it and you love it. So we're buying all the ingredients separately. And she speaks her fun Medellin version of Spanish. And with my beard, people think that I'm some sort of hippie. So they've treated me different since the beard like went below this level. And I had a bottle of aguardiente. I'm just holding it. I'm waiting for her to do her thing. She's negotiating for coconuts. And this guy comes up to me and in Spanish says, "Give me your money." And I got the bottle and I put the head of it in my hand and went like this and put my hand out like that and just looked at him, looked around and then looked at him and then made it very, very, very clear. I'm not a hippie. I do believe in violence and I believe in it coming very soon. And then he kind of tried to brush it off and walked away. We just looked at the store owner and then the gal, she starts cursing and they start cursing together like, what bullshit that this is happening and blah, 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 blah. And I don't want to say anything bad about Venezuelans, but there's a little bit of a Venezuelan refugee crisis. Anyway, that was the middle of the day, 2:00. And we weren't even tipsy or anything at that point. We were just trying to get tipsy. I'm like, what the hell is this place? This is the beach town everyone tells you to go to that's so peaceful and lovely and amazing. And then outside the hostels, the tuk-tuk drivers are selling all of the backpackers bad drugs and assaulting them as well, assaulting all the girls, because where there's a beach, there's a lot of girls. And they would take advantage of them. And there's a lot of British gals, and British gals and guys are known for enjoying themselves, especially with the Peruvian marching powder. So they take advantage of that quite a lot. And then they try to take advantage of you for prices. And I never accepted that. So I always had a big problem with them. One tuk-tuk driver tried to fight me because I refused to pay him a fake price. I just paid him the real price. And I was just like, fuck this place. Everybody gets sick. It's not that beautiful. There's fucking violence everywhere on this beautiful beach town. And we were told that if we walked too far in one direction on the beach, we would get robbed by Venezuelan refugees. And I was just like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. Because that's the beautiful part of the beach that's not built up. And I would really like to go there and watch the sunset with some beers with people from the hostel. And the security tells us we're not allowed to go there. Or we can go there, but we won't come back with our stuff. Thank you. Thank you. Mancorra, love you so much. Sorry.
Dude, I was the most paranoid in Brazil. Because once I got there and we're in Brazil pretty much everywhere. Because I went to Rio, Sao Paulo, Salvador, and the locals from Sao Paulo, they're telling me, look, dude, even we wear these pouches. Are you familiar with the pouches that they have?
Like the fanny pack that goes across or the money belt thing?
Well, no, the fanny pack that goes inside your pants. So it's kind of not visible. Okay. But
I know what you mean.
It's a skinny fanny pack. What I had was
your asshole.
An older version of it from my dad that was like 40 years old that would have looked like a beer belly on me.
Nice.
And I thought, okay, that would be too obvious if I do it. So with my paranoia, I thought, shit, if I get robbed, man, it's going to stick out for sure. So what I ended up doing for a better time of my travel in Brazil was I put my credit cards and some cash in a regular sandwich bag and just stuffed it in my underwear. So I thought, okay, nobody's going to be hopefully checking my family jewels, right? So I had all my valuables next to my valuables. And I did not get over that until I got to one of the national parks, and at least there everybody was cool. Everybody was just chilling and hanging out. I was like, it's like a breath of fresh air at this point. You get away from all the craziness of Rio in Sao Paulo and Salvador. And I personally never had any sort of altercations there, but a bunch of my friends did. Like one guy.
Wow.
Ended up.
Tell
my
us an
Spanish
interesting
friend.
one.
Yeah, dude. So the most interesting was my Russian friend that I actually met in Brazil. He told me that he went to Salvador, and if you're familiar with that city, once you get to the touristic square, there is a outdoor elevator, like an Art Deco, really cool looking elevator, and you only pay maybe 25 American cents to go down to where the market is. But he thought, hey, I don't want to stand in this queue to wait for my turn to go on the elevator. So he thought, I'll just go through this neighborhood, and it's the middle of the day. Nothing's going to happen.
Unless you're in South America.
He starts going down the stairs, and these two dudes start following him. And he says, like, they're fucking jacks too, right? So they get to a street level where the road traffic is, and man, they're getting really close to him. So he's like, yeah, I gotta make a crazy move at this point, or I'm just gonna get my ass kicked. So he ends up running out to the middle of the road, starts waiting at this local bus that's coming his way. So the bus driver apparently recognized what situation was transpiring, right? And so he lets my friend onto the bus. As they're driving off, those two dudes that were following him get really pissed off. They start picking up rocks and just throwing it at the bus and breaking windows, and everybody is breaking out at this point. It's like, this fucking gringo is fucking up our whole day here. And so the bus driver ends up driving maybe a few stops down the road, stopping, waiting for a bus that's coming in a different direction to stop. Talks to that driver, says, take this crazy gringo to a safe place because he's no business being here. And so my friend ends up getting that transfer to the other bus. They drive him to whatever safe place it was, and he avoided the situation altogether. But it's like,
that's a damn smart move.
Dude, it doesn't matter if it's 8 in the evening or early afternoon. Some of those places you got to stay aware all the time, because it's like one turn into the wrong neighborhood and you might not come out.
And it's immediate.
Yeah.
And when you're in South America, everyone shares these stories. These are not just stories that the two of us are talking about. The worst one that I heard, which was either in Brazil or Colombia, I don't think I've told this one yet, was a girl, and they know where you hide your money. You might as well just keep it easily accessible, because it's not the pickpockets that are getting you in some of these places, many of these places. So anyway, a couple guys come up to her. She's alone. And I don't know when it was, but it doesn't matter, like you said. Could have been the middle of the day. And they make her strip naked because they know that a lot of girls hide money in their underwear. And they didn't sexually assault her. They just made her strip naked, took her clothes, and she's wearing like a sundress type thing. It's hot. So she's naked except for her shoes at this point. They took everything from her and left. So she's just naked European gal walking through the streets trying to get to her hostel, terrified. Someone came up to her and like wrapped a shirt or something around her at some point, but not immediately. So, I mean, that's terrifying shit. And I don't know why backpackers don't have any caveats when they tell you about South America. It's beautiful, but somebody will rob you and make you strip naked and walk through the streets of a terrifying South American city. It is beautiful. I think what I learned down there is you have to follow the rules. And everywhere that I went, I always asked what the rules were. You ask and that's what's great about being in a hostel. You say, what are the rules? Where can I go? Where can I not go? When I was in Panama, they had a map. And it was basically just like 4 blocks around the hostel, and everything else was red. Like danger zone, like out of a video game. They said, don't go to any of these other places. And you just do that in every single city you go to. And it's generally a good idea. And you still get to have a lot of fun, and you still get to adventure. And when you want to go to the danger zones, you just bring nothing except for a little bit of cash. You're not going to get any photos, but you'll still have your phone, which you use to buy your plane tickets and your banking apps and everything else. And in one city in Colombia, when they robbed a dude at Machete Point outside of one of the highest rated hostels in the city called Santa Marta, they made him, it was like 6 guys, they made him open his phone and change the passwords on it and then open up all of his important apps so that they could get access to it, like his financial apps. And at that point, no one in our little group in the hostel took their cell phones out anymore. We were like, we don't need to take photos of our food. You know, you remove all the financial apps and everything else. It just sucked, man. But beautiful sunsets.
Yeah, that's why I actually ended up getting sort of a burner phone before my trip. It was just a shitty $100 Google Pixel that I didn't care about whether it got stolen or not. And
used on Amazon as well. I don't know if you did that. You save a lot of money. You can get a good one that way.
Yeah. But yeah, you're talking about these danger zones, and man, sometimes I didn't even do that research. Again,
you survived somehow. You probably started speaking Russian and scaring the shit out of them.
Dude, I had watched some videos on YouTube of people like Kurt Kaz and Timmy Carter, if you're familiar with them. But, you know, it's like if you have this sort of a friendly vibe, sometimes people don't fuck with you either. And so you've obviously been to Quito a bunch of times. And
yeah.
If you remember the Virgin Mary statue, that's the
oh my God, so many people get robbed going up to it. So many people.
Dude, I was walking there, and I'm just following maps me directions, and they take me through some hood. And I talked to an older guy that says, no, like, gringo, you know, get the fuck out of here. This is not the place for you to be in. I'm like, okay, I'm just so naive and like, I'm just walking here. It's a beautiful day, middle of the afternoon. So I end up going back to the main road. While I'm doing that, all the people I meet, whether they're half drunk or full drunk or whatever, is like, hey, buen dia, ¿qué pasa? And a cop car driving by, and they're like, hey, dude, like, what are you doing? I was like, yeah, you know, I just read that the Virgin Mary statue is a really cool viewpoint in this city, and I'm just walking there. Like, yeah, it's not really a good idea for you to be walking alone in this neighborhood. And I'm like, but you know, everybody's pretty cool. They're like, yeah, we get it, but it's best if we give you a ride. So I end up getting a ride.
It's bad if the cops are giving you a ride, man.
I'm getting a ride in the cop car to the top of the viewpoint. Dude, well, yeah, that would have been a hell of a story there. Fortunately, no, they didn't do that. But so I spent some time there. I started coming back down. I see that same cop car on the way down, and I come up to them and say, look, I get what you're telling me. This is a really shit place. You know, no place for a gringo to walk around, but I really love exploring the city on my own, so I'm just going to walk down. And they're like, okay, but, you know, take care, like, con cuidado. And they're like, yeah. And so I end up walking down, no escort or anything like that. Nothing happens. Okay. But to be fair, I think you have to have a certain amount of luck too, where, just that bad. The robbers were watching a soccer game or whatever the hell else was going on, and they weren't out robbing gringos walking around the place.
That's like the number one place that gringos get robbed in Quito. And it's funny, not funny, but it's just kind of interesting how things work. I have a saying, just because you feel safe doesn't mean you are safe. And sometimes as a traveler, as a backpacker, when you start your solo travel journey, you start to realize that people are amazing. And sometimes it lowers your guard because you have so many amazing experiences with so many amazing people across so many different cultures, including the cultures that you're in. So you just think so positively of them and you're like, oh, nothing's going to happen. Of course, I have no ill intent. So why would they have any ill intent towards me? But if you stay in a hostel down there for a week, 7 days, which most people don't do in Quito, or for a month, and you're even a little bit social, you start to hear all the stories. And someone gets robbed on those stairs from whatever hostel you're staying in at least once a week. So it's like every hostel has someone that has been robbed on those stairs once a week. And then you get people who have traveled everywhere and they go, oh, I don't think it's that dangerous. Or, oh, you're being racist. I'm like, what do you mean racist? The front desk girl, born and raised in the city, she's the one that told me you were going to get stabbed, bro. Just telling you what she said. But I did meet a guy who got robbed there, and the idiot had his laptop in his backpack as well.
Oh, shit.
A backpack is just Target 101. And sometimes you forget it because in some cities, especially in European cities, if you're in a not really trustworthy hostel, maybe where they can't secure your stuff, you want to keep your valuables on your back because they're safer there. And then you go to the other side of the world and you just forget that the safety standards have changed and the safety rules have changed. But yeah, that Virgin Mary's caused more robberies than any other virgin.
That's funny because now having traveled in the States for a few months, it's like in the more developed countries, it's all the rich people that get that real estate at the top of the hill. In South America, it's the reverse. Yes. Everybody that lives in a fucking slum is going to have the best view of the city.
You don't expect it at all. Hollywood Hills, right?
If you go to any of the goddamn favelas in Brazil, they have the best views. But you do go into a favela.
Why is that? Why would the rich people want to live at the bottom of the valley with the worst view? No, so much of South America is super, super mountainous. You'll be up 10,000 feet, but there's still higher mountains and valleys, and you're like the rich people will be here, and then the poor. Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, if you take Brazil, it's pretty much just a mix of poor and super wealthy right next door, right? You have something like Cuisinha, which is the most notorious favela in Rio, right next to the super luxury high-rise apartments that are on Ipanema or other beaches. And so there, dude, I have no idea who the hell the city planner was that decided that. But I don't know. Maybe it's for convenience reasons because the rich people are just, we don't want to fuck with having to commute for more than a few minutes to wherever we need to go. So we're just going to place all the poor people up on the hill or
far away.
I have no idea.
The hills are like this, by the way. I mean, these are and the buses are somehow going up it.
Oh, and it is quite crazy there for sure. And actually, speaking of a laptop, you mentioned a laptop. That same Russian friend of mine, I think he's just some sort of a magnet for interesting stories, but he always gets into some shit like that. In Buenos Aires, he ended up having his laptop stolen in the hostel.
God damn.
And so then he just had this crazy story where he was communicating with the thief on WhatsApp. And the thief was saying, dude, I'm sorry, I didn't even know you were like a gringo. I thought I was robbing Argentinians. And I'm going to give you the address of the shop where they have your laptop. So he ended up going through this crazy chase, meeting all kinds of crazy fucking shady people in Buenos Aires that have this black market where they sell all the stolen shit. And all the corrupted cops that end up not doing anything, but he did actually end up getting his laptop back from one of those recycle shops for no money. He didn't have to pay anything.
How did he not have to pay anything? Did he bring some other guys with him?
No, yeah, well, he brought some people from the hostel, but I don't think that was the point. I think for whatever reason, these are like ethical thieves that only rob Argentinians, and they didn't want to fuck with the gringo's laptop, so they just said, here, have it back, man.
What the hell? In Argentina, they have ethical thieves? Man, that never happens. That never happens. Usually what happens is you go to one of those shops and you buy another gringo's stolen phone or stolen laptop.
I mean, it's like in Medellin, you go under one of those bridges close to Plaza Botero, and you have all those cell phones being sold there.
Man, I did not go to Plaza Botero. Screw that. I didn't even want to leave my building. Just too many stories. Too many stories. I was too over it. It's beautiful. I don't care. I'll Google image that. I just want to relax a little bit. Can I relax anywhere? Can I walk down a street without having to walk like this because I'm so tense that my shoulders are giving me like a herniated disc they're pulling so hard? I mean, 8 a.m. 10 a.m. Medellin, 10:30 Sunday. And I was going to the outdoor workout area that they have in the Gringo Zone. And so, you know, I'm thinking all the people should pretty much be gone. I was working a lot on Trip Ranger at the time. And so I wasn't partying. I'm like, should be safe. It's bright. Blah, 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 blah. Let's say lady of the night, because I'm feeling classy, but she was anything but classy, smashed me in like this side of my chest with her purse. So I would look at her. I ignore her. I just keep walking because that's the best thing to do in that scenario is just ignore. If you engage that person, there's like 30 other people around. You just don't want to be involved. And sometimes they do that to distract you, to rob you. So I keep walking. And then there was a guy in a Celtics jersey or a Lakers jersey who ran across the street and spoke oddly good English. People don't speak very good English in South America. And that's just the way it is. So when they do speak good English, you're like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, you got to watch out for those guys.
Yeah, you speak good English for a reason. This is a tool. You're not even the people that work at the hotels, even nice hotels, don't speak English. That's how I learned Spanish in Trujillo. Or I improved my Spanish. And anyway, I just had to make it very clear and there were tons of people around. There were people having coffee and pastries, the little shop right there. And he just keeps coming at me, and he wanted to sell me drugs, but I thought maybe he wanted to distract me so someone could rob me from behind, because I'm almost 3 months in Colombia at this point, so I understand how things work. And I said, no. But he sees the beard, so I think he thinks I want drugs, because a lot of people have offered me drugs since I got a big beard. And then he keeps coming, so I yell it, and he keeps coming. And then he's just about 8 feet away from me, so a little over 2 meters. And then I look around and make sure no one else is around, and then I make it very apparent to him and everybody else that A, I'm scared, B, I'm not retreating. Like, I'm coming for you if you come closer. And then he stopped. And everyone is watching, but no one is saying anything. And then some other guy walks by, and I'm in like full freak out mode at this moment. And so I'm looking at him and I'm pointing, I'm like, are you? And he's like, no, which doesn't mean he's not involved. But anyway, 10:30 Sunday, Gringo Zone, where things are more expensive and safe. So I was like, screw this. And then I learned later, about a month later. So I learned a couple months after that, about a month after that, a girl that was staying on the same street as me in the Gringo hostels got shot in the face when she was coming home.
Oh, yeah.
And I said this in the first podcast, if anyone's actually watching all these episodes. But basically, she managed to not get robbed at all and came home from the party district with a bunch of people from the hostel. So she's not alone. She's following safe protocols. And then someone tried to rob her or someone in the group and then shot her in the face. And she didn't die. She survived, European or an American. And then after that, I was like, yeah, I had a lot of good times here. I'm done. I want my shoulders to relax. I want my neck to relax. I want to just calm down. And man, all right, we're talking too much shit on that. But I want to know, in Peru, what route did you do? So first of all, you crossed the border right after COVID. So it was very interesting.
Actually, the more interesting border crossing was from Colombia to Ecuador.
Really?
Just because, yeah, dude.
Did you pass that cool church that looks like it's from Lord of the Rings?
We didn't go that route. I know which one you're talking about, like the super Gothic Catholic church that's on the bridge. Yeah. We saw it from a distance, but we didn't go right next to it. But I'll tell you what, though. It was me, a dude from Switzerland, and a dude from Scotland. And I think we had our first gastronomic culture shock in South America, even though the Swiss dude had been coming to that part of the world for a few years. We went to this crazy restaurant called Mr. Pollo.
It's Mr. Chicken.
Mr.
Sounds great,
Chicken.
Actually.
And it had designed like a 50s American diner with all these booths.
Loving it already.
Leather, dude, like leather bench seats. You got Coca-Cola ads, retro Coca-Cola ads everywhere. And their menu is like 20 pages long. So you can order anything from vegan, vegetarian to like a fucking pizza with pineapple and whatever else on it.
I'm getting hungry, man.
And so
you get to choose your chicken too. You're like, I want that fat one right there.
It's crazy, dude. It's an insane menu. But so we get to we go through the main course. We get to the dessert part of it, and have you ever had a helado con queso?
Oh
you know
my God!
That is?
Yes, I did. I did it once in I can't remember the name of the city, but I did. Yeah. It was in Ecuador. It's horrible. It's so bad.
But that what we ordered was a banana
ice cream
split.
with cheese.
It wasn't even called helado con queso. It was just banana split, right?
Yeah.
So
with cheese on top, like shredded cheese.
They bring out this banana split, and it's fucking huge, right? Like 1, 2 is definitely enough for 3 people. And we're like, hell yeah, dude, you know what? And to our time in Colombia, have this amazing dessert. And the Swiss guy starts going through it, picking through it with a spoon, and is like, what the fuck is this, man? And so he starts scraping it off, and he's like, is this cheese? And he starts tasting it, and it's that shit South American cheese that doesn't even taste like anything.
Zero flavor.
He's like, what? And he's like, why the fuck would they put cheese on our ice cream? He just ends up scraping off about a half of that dessert because all of that was just a thick bed of cheese. And we sit there for 10 minutes just not being able to believe what the fuck is going on in Colombia with desserts, man. Like, what is this palate that they have that makes them want to put cheese on their ice cream? And then later in Ecuador, I did learn that it is a pretty popular and common dessert that they put cheese on ice cream, which is okay. Both are derivatives of milk, right? So their logic must be milk and milk. They go well together, but not really in a white person's mind. So, to each his own, dude. But yeah, that was a first gastronomic culture shock. Actually, that town called Pasto, where we had that, is also known for their cuy, which cuy I actually like. It's the
guinea pig, baby.
The roasted guinea pig, man. I love the roasted guinea pig. It tastes to me like that.
Was it slow roasted like they do in Cuenca? 45 minutes over the grill like that?
Yeah. Comes out with the legs and the head and everything.
Terrifying little rat teeth.
It looks freaky. Yeah, it looks freaky, man.
I like it when they cook it like that. When they boil it, it's just like bland, flavorless meat.
I don't know about boiling it, but yeah, like the roasted guinea pig to me tasted like the dark meat of a turkey.
Yeah.
It's like that really fattier part, the fatty meat. That was really good. Alpaca steak was another really good one in Peru.
Where do you have alpaca steak? Was that in Bolivia? Did you make it to Bolivia?
No, that was in Peru, man. They grill it.
Where did you go in Peru exactly? Once you came down, so you went across the border, then you were Mancorra, then you were Trujillo, then you were probably Lima.
I think Huaraz, and then I did go to Lima.
Then did you do the Gringo Circle?
What's that?
It's like Arequipa.
I did go to Arequipa. Yeah, Cusco. Yeah.
Was it cool?
Yeah, but Cusco,
I never made it down there.
Cusco was cool because we took the 4-day Salcantay trek to Machu Picchu.
Did you like that one?
It was amazing, dude. And the group that we had was really cool. The guides were awesome. They would wake you up at about 5, 6 in the morning every day, and they would give you coca tea. That's the first thing you do is you drink that coca tea whether you want it or not. They fucking make you drink it, and
I forgot about that. You get coca leaves
for help with altitude sickness, right? But you had amazing tracking, really good meals, and they do teach you to say Machu Picchu, not Machu Picchu, because Pichu in Spanish and in Quechua it's kind of similar, but if you mispronounce it, Pichu is similar to a word that means dick. So Machu means old, Pichu means dick, so you're saying old dick rather than old mountain. And so you probably don't want to offend the locals by saying, hey, look at the old dick over there.
That's kind of similar really things, cool. Right? Old dick, old mountain. Might have lost a little height over the years, the wind erosion.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
So you made it down there.
Peru was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I made it down there, and then
Wait. How did you like, did you try any of the food in Lima? Everyone is like, oh my God, the food in Lima is amazing. I'm like, well, it's a jumbo city. So there's probably some good restaurants in it since, like you pointed out, in South America, you're either super wealthy or poor. So there's going to be some great places to eat.
Dude, I tried a variety of things like their local tamales. And in South America, it's also funny because they have so many different words for example, pork. So in some countries they say cerdo, in other countries it's chancho. So when I get to Peru and I come to this old lady on the street in Cusco selling tamales, and I'm like, what is this with? And she's like, chancho. And I'm thinking, what the hell is chancho, man? So they have to explain to me, bro, it's local for cerdo, for pork. It's like you have all these goddamn different words meaning the same thing.
Spanish is really not just a single language. There's that joke where I find it funny, the two groups of people who sound often similar. Very good, sir. Bulma, bulma, bulma. Hey, hey, hey. People who don't know very much and people who know, I don't know, too much, right? Like, what's the joke if you say, I don't speak Mexican, you're kind of ignorant. But then once you learn a little bit more about Spanish, you're like, well, yeah, I speak Mexican, or I don't speak Mexican because the Spanish is so
Yeah,
freaking different
like,
between all of these countries. And oh my good golly, you hear an Argentinian speaking her Spanish. And when we were in Iquitos, watching her talk with a Iquitos person whose first language is Quechua, and then they learn Spanish. And I'm sitting there with my gringo Spanish, ain't nobody understanding me. And they are just looking at each other like two ghosts. I'm just like, we're going to get on the wrong boat. We're going to get chopped up by aboriginals. We're not going to make it to the Brazilian border. Like, this girl doesn't say playa. She goes plaja.
Argentinian accent is the funniest one by far, for sure.
It's so cute, isn't it? I just want to give them a hug when they speak. I love it.
The shit's down. I remember I was walking in, I think it was Rosario, and this guy comes up to me. His hands are full of paint, and he's trying to, like, get me to maybe pour some water or ask me if I have soap or something like that. And then he says, like, my name is whatever, and he says, Shame Shamo. And I really do not understand what the hell he's trying to say when he says Shame Shamo. And then after about a minute, it dawns on me, oh, he's like trying to say Yo me llamo, right? Like, my name is whatever. But it was like that in Argentina. God. The whole time I got to a hostel, and they're telling me about the key, but instead of llave, they call it chave. And I'm like, what the fuck is a chave, man? I have no idea what the
just got my Spanish perfect, and now I don't fucking understand anything.
I just got that Paisa accent from Medellin, you know, where they say everything is jo. And then you get to Argentina, and it's totally different. So it's like, Jesus Christ, man. Can we have some uniformity here at some point?
It's like Scottish English versus American English. That's what it's like. It's so different. I really didn't like the Colombian accent. I don't know why people go there to learn Spanish. It's like singing. At first, I thought they were speaking Portuguese.
Well, that's why they like it, because it's very melodic versus just monotone Spanish version where they say a ver, and they,
in
you know,
Ecuador,
the lisp.
In Ecuador, it's great. It's so easy. Mexico is also easy, but I think Ecuador is just the easiest. And my Spanish was getting really good in Ecuador. And then in Peru, it's getting even better because nobody speaks English. Then when I was in Trujillo for a couple of weeks, getting really good because nobody speaks English. And then I get deeper and deeper into the Amazon, and I don't understand a single word. Even when they're speaking Spanish, their accent is just too heavy. And they don't understand a single word that I am speaking in Spanish. So I went from just being able to finally communicate everything that I wanted to do, how to order, how to get to places, how to do anything. And now I can't communicate again, so I just gave up. And then when I got to Colombia, it was an even different accent. So I was like, fuck this. Fuck everything, sign language. I was just like,
And then you get to Brazil, and the Brazilians told me that it's actually easier for them to speak English with you rather than Spanish. Although you might think, okay, they're on the same continent. They have some similar words, but not really, because if you say oi in Spanish, it means today. In Brazilian, it just means hi. Like, what's up? You know, hi, hey.
That can be very confusing, especially if you're mixing languages.
Dude, and Brazilian Portuguese, or Portuguese in general, is also, to me, it's the most beautiful language out of all that I've heard, just because it's so melodic. Yeah, dude, I fucking love it. But you have to be super careful with how you say the words you want to say, because a lot of them are very nasal. And so if you order the typical Brazilian staple, which is cheese bread, pão de queijo, right? So when you say bread, pão, you have to say it in your nose. Pão. If you're going to say pau, like P-A-U, it means dick.
God damn it, everything means dick.
Yeah, pretty much. So if you go to a bakery in Brazil and you order a pão de queijo, They're gonna be like, I'll meet you in the back, dude. Let me serve these clients first. And then if you want some cheese dick, I'll see you in the back of the shop.
And the best kind of dick. Oh my God. Everything in South America means dick.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
All right. Well, in Peru, we're gonna have to have like 10 episodes to get through everything. I think it's just too boring. We don't want to list everything out. It's just too fun to roll with it. So you go down to the Gringo Loop, but you did not go to Bolivia. A lot of people go to Bolivia over Lake Titicaca, my favorite lake. Which
I did go to Lake Titicaca on the Peruvian side.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Did you go to the floating islands?
Yeah, the Uras. Yeah, I did go there. That was really cool.
I know it's touristy, but was it cool to be on it? Were they actually like floating islands of hay that people live on?
They're not hay. They're reed. They're built out of reed that grows in the lake. And if I recall correctly, they last, well, okay, we'll say, depending on the quality of the build, they last 50 to 100 years. So then they have to basically abandon that one and build a new one.
You mean abandon the island and build a new island?
Yeah, and they have to, exactly. They have to build a new one because...
Great for zoning.
At some point, after 50 plus years, that reed basically does not support the flotation aspect of it anymore.
But it's an actual floating reed island. They took a bunch of reeds.
Exactly.
They bound them together and were like, hey, I'm going to live on this in the world's highest lake because why not?
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly how it's done. And they have all these different communities of people living on a bunch of these different islands. And it is touristic in a sense that when you get there, they're nice about it, but they do invite you inside their huts and tell you like, oh, this is all the art that we have, like the different rugs or whatever else they have. So, buy a piece of uras to take home with you, which I didn't. I'm a cheap ass. So I didn't do any of that, but it's done in a nice manner. It's not like super pushy. So
yeah, I found that in some of the places that you go, you can really tell where you're like, this person isn't actually trying to take advantage of me. I remember that I was in a village in the Amazon where they did that as well. And I was with the guide, and the gal didn't have change. And it was like a daughter of the family who had made everything. And so she said, I can't sell it to you. I don't have change. It was for just a pittance, such a small amount of money, like $2. And I gave $5. And you could just tell from the interaction that she wasn't trying to scam. And the guide, who kind of knows a little bit more how things work, he just said, no, just go get some change from the end of the street, then come back here. Like, don't pass up this opportunity to be able to get money. And she was not saying, give me $5. She said, no, I can't accept it because it's $2 or $2.50 and I don't have change. So I know exactly what you mean. There are actually legit nice good ones, not just a bunch of gypsy street scammers in Europe. So I want to talk about the islands more, though. So you're telling me these islands are real. They put the reeds together. They built homes on the floating islands. They live there. Do they make fires? Or it seems like the world's biggest fire hazard. Like, how does that work? They eat raw fish, which they love ceviche down there.
Well, I would think, their main dietary intake is fish. But I wouldn't think that it's a fire hazard. I mean, we're talking about the reeds that grow in the lake. It's not like they source them from somewhere outside of that. And dude, I think that climate also allows them for a relatively comfortable living. I mean, okay, it's not tropical like you might have on a beach in Colombia or Brazil or somewhere like that, but I mean, Here in
How
the
many
car,
people?
sometimes it gets to 12 Fahrenheit, and I just use a couple of blankets, and I'm cozy. So, this is
Yeah.
probably what they do when it gets to be relatively cold. Is a couple of
Well,
blankets will do the job. You don't have
I was
to
thinking
have a
more like
fire.
how they cook their food, especially
Okay,
with
fair
all the
enough.
fires in California now. It seems like one ember and a little bit of wind could sort of end your little island adventure. Or if you live there, it's an island home. How many people live on one floating island?
Yeah, it varies on the community. I think it's from a few dozen to up to maybe 100 or so.
Wow. And how do you even get on it? You just like drive a boat onto their reeds and then sort of get off into some soggy reeds and walk and it becomes dry reeds and
Yeah,
go
so
on
you
like a
take
tour of Lake
what we
Titicaca.
yeah what we did was we took a tour on a boat from the port of Puno to all these different islands. So one day consists of visiting the Urals Islands, and there are some islands that are on an actual piece of land with some indigenous communities. I don't remember the names of those, but those are the people that do get pushy, because I remember just us walking around the island, and one girl from our group was taking pictures of these 8-year-old girls that were dressed in typical dresses.
Yeah.
And she took 1 or 2 pictures of them. They came up to her and they were like, "Propina, you have to pay us money."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I don't understand what you're talking about." It's like, dinero, you have to, whatever. You took a picture of us, you have to give us money. And it's like, really embed that thinking into kids at an early age there, because we met 2 young boys, same age, maybe 8, 9 years old, that walked along with us for part of the trek. And then they were trying to take us on another road, which was not the same one that the GPS told us to take. So they followed us anyway. And then at the end of the walk, they were asking for money as well. It's like, we accompanied you.
Yeah.
We showed you the way around, and it was like, come on, get the hell out of here. You're asking for money for absolutely nothing. Like, you provided no service here. But on that island, it's super typical where even the super young kids are going to be pushy, and they're not shy about asking for money. And that was for me a few months into the trip, but for an average gringo, they're probably going to feel somewhat of a shame to not give them any money. They would probably feel like, oh, these poor people, would I got to give them something? So they'd probably give them a decent chunk of money, especially it's an older American couple, for example, or someone like that. So they're used to it. They're used to it for sure.
And they're good at taking advantage of it. And there's a lot of discussions you can have about what's right, what's not right, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Honestly, if you're a traveler, do what you feel comfortable with. If you travel a lot in those places, like you were talking about, you had before then, and like I have, sometimes it just really disgusts you and you get really upset at those things. And sometimes you want to give them something. There's really no one answer fits every situation. It's just kind of, you have to go on how you feel then based on what's going on. And eventually you will be scammed completely. But there are also really poor communities in some of these places. Now, the islands are super touristy, so it's probably just a business for them. But if you manage to get off the beaten track, 2 things will happen. People won't ask you for money, I found, because it's not an industry then. They're not used to that. The kids weren't taught to do that. Like in Vietnam, when I booked a hostel in the wrong city, and so there was nothing to do there. But I had one of the best times I'd ever had. It was just regular people, little kids. Instead of coming up to me and trying to get money from me, they were like grabbing their parents' pant leg and pointing at me like, white person, what the hell is this thing? This ghost walking the streets. Didn't have any issues with anything at all anywhere in that city. And then when I went more back to the touristy cities, it became a business again. And it wears you down as well, especially the fake tour thing. But, all right, so we could talk forever about that stuff, especially in Europe. By the way, the beggars in Paris and London make a ton of money. A ton of money. It's insane. Anyway, I don't want to get off track. I want to know where you went after Peru, because a lot of people go down to Bolivia. Where did you go? Did you fly to Asia land or did you go to Brazil?
So the reason I did not go to Bolivia is because for whatever reason, they do not like the Yankees and they want you to pay $160 for a visa.
What the hell? Okay, for people who aren't aware, that's a ton of money when your lunch costs $2. A full 3-course lunch.
Think about this for a minute. Bolivia is the number one producer of cocaine. The number one consumer of cocaine is the United States.
Oh.
So why would you treat your best consumer that way? We're visiting the mother country that produces the bulk of it. It says, hey, you want to come here, you got to pay $160.
Which, what would that be? That would be like 80 grams of cocaine down there. Not that I learned that from many British people that I might know.
Well, I actually met a guy in Medellin that I ended up being friends with, but he's also originally from Russia, and dude, that is one of the most interesting characters I've met. He used to work for Pablo Escobar's family museum. He knows Pablo's brother personally. He knows a bunch of people from that community. He knows all the top dealers in the country that don't give you the shit that you buy on the street, but you get like 80% or higher purity cocaine.
Wow.
That they only sell to the top people. So
they don't sell that to gringos when they go there. Yeah, and a lot of gringos use it. This isn't just like we're some sort of weird people for knowing this. When you go there, you meet a ton of foreigners who are there for gals and Peruvian marching powder. So anyway, so you learn about it. So continue.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, Bolivia is off the books for right now. So the next place I wanted to go to was either Argentina and Chile. And
wait. I want to hear about Pablo Escobar's Russian.
Oh, okay. Well,
I just wanted to do that caveat so people don't think that you're Pablo Escobar's Russian.
Well, I could be, but I'm not that cool. Yeah, so I ended up meeting him at a hostel in Medellin, one of the more popular gringo hostels
there's like
there.
4 of them.
In Poblado. I mean, they're all in Poblado probably, right? That neighborhood. And he was a frequent visitor, and they were like, this dude is Russian, you should talk to him. And we kind of just hit it off right away. And he was like, yeah, dude, I'm hosting this party for all the Russian expats in Medellin. He said, come. And that was the first time I learned that they have this weird rule in Colombia. When you go to a grocery store, you do not have to pay the full amount at the point of sale, right? Maybe you didn't come across that, but I was buying some beer for the party. And the question they ask you is, ¿cuántas cuentas? Which is like, how many bills?
How much do you want to pay? Or, yeah.
No, not how much do you want to pay, but ¿cuántas cuentas? Which means, basically, let's say a 6-pack of beer costs, whatever, $3. you don't have to pay the full $3 right then and there. You can split it into like 6 payments.
Oh my God.
And I couldn't figure out what the fuck they were wanting from me because I'm getting them my credit card and I'm ready to pay the whole thing. And he just keeps asking me like, ¿cuántos, cuántos, cuántos, cuántos? So I just ended up giving the dude cash because I couldn't figure out what the hell he was wanting from me. And then the Russian guy, the Pablo Escobar guy, ended up explaining to me that like you did in Colombia, when you go to a grocery store, they always ask you that question, like how many bills do you want to pay that over?
Wow.
And I don't know if...
How do you pay the
they
second
actually
bill?
charge you. Yeah, so I don't know if they charge you a percentage or how that ends up getting worked out, but that's how they do it, even if you pay with a credit card.
Financed alcoholism.
Yeah, so like if you're a bum, but you still want to have a 6-pack of beer tonight, you know, they'll let you have it for a quarter of the cost. Yeah, maybe like that.
I like that. Financing your alcoholism. Visa in your wallet, in your tummy, in your liver, every day for a lower price.
And then you have a really speedy announcement for the next like 10 seconds saying you're going to end up paying 150%. For not paying the whole thing up front, but you know, it's the cost of pleasure for tonight. But shit. So yeah, this dude at this party, man, he had
the cost of pleasure. Is that a direct translation from Russian?
Well,
I like it. The cost of pleasure tonight. That'd be a seductive way to sort of bring people into a higher class bar.
That can mean different things in Medellin, the cost of pleasure, because
man, I did not.
I was not frequenting those establishments, but some people.
I didn't want to be a single part of it. I didn't want to be around it. I mean, I was with whatever, and you know, very happily. But even in my party days, nothing about traveling to Pablo Escobar's home city and engaging in debauchery seems even remotely appealing to me or safe.
I mean, it's a beautiful city. The weather is amazing.
You can engage in debauchery in so many other places, so much more safely. Like flying to Medellin for a bender, from what I know about what has happened to people who weren't even trying to put themselves in that world. Just look, you know, scopamine is a thing. And there are stories of backpackers who've been scoped. That's what they call it. They even have a nickname for it. It happens so much. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, when they blow powder in your face and then you turn into sort of a zombie that basically follows all of their instructions. So if they tell you, hey, you have to come to an ATM with me, insert your card and withdraw your maximum cash that you can, this is what you do, dude. Yeah,
even the CIA studied it for mind control because it's so effective. And the only place in the world I've heard of people using it and where I learned about it and where I heard secondhand stories. So the person who knew the person that it happened to was in South America, in that region, Colombia, Ecuador, and the whole region. And that's terrifying stuff. I mean, one guy that it happened to, it wasn't even, we got to say something positive before we go to another region in the world. But now I really want to say this story. So the dude's on a beach, and I don't really want to say where it is because I don't want to give him any more flack. But anyway, he's on a beach with some other people. And like we talked about, one of the best things about traveling and the best things about hosteling, it's the people. Yeah, you're not alone. You got a bunch of people in your room, but that's how you meet people. And that makes it really, really great. And you can't sleep well and blah, 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 blah. You're going to have discomfort, but you're going to have the best time of your life. So you meet these people, you go to a beach with them, you're having drinks, you're watching the sunset. Have done it so many times. In the Galapagos on Isabella, that was my thing. I would take people from the hostel, whoever wanted to go. It's usually 3 or 4 people. We'd walk to the beach and watch the most beautiful sunset ever, and just bring cold beers and chocolate bananas, which is not a euphemism for dicks, which everything else is in South America. So anyway, he goes to this beach, not in the Galapagos, but not far from it. And he's with his hostel crew and a couple of locals who seem like really chill, cool, fun people come up. And you're like, oh yeah, new people, chill, fun, good. Because I'm in a hostel, new, fun, cool people in my hostel, blah, blah, blah. Let's expand the group. Kind of a common thing that hostelers do. So he has his beer. Then they're all sharing drinks. Then the next thing this guy remembers is coming to his senses while walking on a street, I think a day later or a day and a half later, with only one shoe. Shit. He had his shirt and his shorts, and they scoped him. And he got a bunch of money stolen. Yeah, and he doesn't know anything that happens. He just knows the money was taken because there's an electronic record of it. I see you. I see you not speaking.
You can see me. Well, I'll do sign language.
All right. Are we pretty much live-ish?
Yeah. I think so.
Oh, bitchin'. Perfect. Okay.
Sweet.
All right. So,
the fish drink.
Let's go with the fish. Okay. Wait, I want to do one preamble thing because I don't know where it'll cut or not. I want to end talking about the Galapagos and some positive stories. People think that to go to the Galapagos, which are islands in Ecuador, I thought they were in India, if I'm honest. Then I end up in Quito, and I'm like, I can't breathe. We are 2,800 meters above sea level. My nose is bleeding, and my heart's like, oh yeah, you're in Ecuador, buddy, in the mountains. And we drink cocaine tea. Okay, too many tangents. But people think that to go to the Galapagos, you have to buy a $7,000 cruise. And I have stories of people who paid for that, and then they got there and they said, oh yeah, we rebooked it, so you have to go home. But the Galapagos can be done much cheaper, and you can have a lot of fun. So talk about where we met, where we stayed, and then you were bringing up the fish street when we began before we recorded. And I want to relive that experience because it was so great. Just the most amazing fresh fish for such an affordable price. And we did not pay $7,000 a week to be there.
No. Yeah, let's clarify how you get there. To my knowledge, you have 2 gateway cities. You either go to Quito or you go to Guayaquil. And you catch a direct flight from either one of those airports. Galapagos has at least 2 different airports on
it does, yeah.
Isabella Island and the main one.
Not Isabella, the main one, and then the other one that's closer down. I don't remember the name of it.
Okay.
I'll find it real quick.
But you do have to keep in mind that the Galapagos for sure collects some fees, right? So the first thing you have to do when you get to the airport is you have to go and pay. At the time, that was February of 2022, you had to pay $20 for this piece of paper, basically stating that you're good to go to the Galapagos.
That's before you even get on the plane.
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper is all it is. It's 20 bucks. Right out of your pocket right there.
And they have like a special little stall for it in the airport. The FU stall.
Dude, I ended up going through security, getting to the gate, thinking, okay, this is where they're going to sell it. And then they tell me, no, dude, you got to go back to the entrance to the airport, buy that goddamn piece of paper, and then go through security again. So thankfully I had enough time to do all that. Yeah, thankfully I had enough time to do all of that, but it's like, wow. And then once you do get to whatever island of your destination is, what did we pay? $150, I think?
And I think you have to pay it in cash. I love that. I love that. There's like one governor of the Galapagos. They call him Mr. Turtle. He's got a mansion on top of the volcano, like Dr. Evil, and a big infinity pool, and just a bunch of Galapagos turtles feeding him grapes. The amount of money that they make from that is astronomical. And they, I don't think they, go on.
Hypothetically, it goes on to preserve the, what do you want to call it?
The governor's
the fauna,
fat ass.
the flora of Galapagos.
The spitting lizards.
The hell knows? Oh, man. But yeah, so, and actually it doesn't end there, because if you want to get to any place in the Galapagos, guess what? You have to catch a bus to a water taxi. Then you have to pay for the water taxi, which takes a minute and a half maybe to get to one of the main ports. And then from there, then you want to travel between the islands.
And the thing is, really, you need cash for all of this.
Dude,
a lot of foreigners aren't used to carrying cash.
Yeah. So, as I recall, if you wanted to get between the islands, you had to pay at least $25 for the trip. A really bumpy trip on a boat between the islands. And it doesn't end there, because the boat does not go from port to port, right?
Something like that, yeah.
It goes from port to water taxi.
But you know what? When I went to the South Island, I forget, I'm looking it up now.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. When I was in that's not the name of the island. Cristobal. When I went to Cristobal Island, we saw hundreds of dolphins on the ferry. Like, we were taking the ferry, and then on the side of it, just hundreds and hundreds of dolphins. It was amazing. So they're pretty cool ferries. They're just like cracked out speedboats.
So, I don't know. I think you want to sit in the back, dude, because at least you get some air blowing into the cabin. Versus if you sit right in the front, you're pretty much fucked, because it's stuffy. It's humid as hell. And you feel did you feel every bump that boat takes on?
Oh my God, you fat gringo. You're fixating on that. What I want to focus on is that we stayed in a hostel, and that hostel was quite affordable. I think I paid $15 a night or $14 a night.
They're all $15 pretty much.
So you get there, you have to pay the $120. You have to pay the tourist price for the airplane ticket. Otherwise, the stewardesses on the airplane will actually bill you on the plane. A couple Swiss people got charged.
Not true. That's not true, dude, because I ended up getting a local price.
Yeah, well, you're just a good little spy. You're a good little KGB.
No, but check this out. What they do is when they pre-board, they have one of the airline employees walking around the waiting area, checking on people's bags, and see if you have an oversized bag, they're going to check your ticket. And if you paid the local price, at that point, they're going to make you pay the tourist price. Now, I was a sneaky little motherfucker, and I put my bag under the seat, my big backpack under the seat, so when they walked by, they just saw my day pack, and they didn't ask any questions after that.
Okay.
That's how you get away with that shit.
You save like $100 or more on the flight.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
I mean, it goes from like $200 one way to $100 one way. But then once you get there, you can stay in hostels for about $15 a night. You can eat for $5 to $15 a day, depending how you want to eat. And that's on the big island. And then when you go to the more beautiful island, you can do the exact same thing. $5 for lunch, which is more expensive, but it's a more secluded island, then $5 for dinner. So each day you are spending $25. Hostel plus those two meals, $25 a day. And you can swim with the seals, and the seals every day. The penguins once every maybe 7 days. That's how often you get to actually swim with them, because, you know, they come when they want to come. and you get to see sea turtles maybe once every 3 days. And it's just amazing. Isabela is amazing. So $25 a day on Isabela, 25-ish dollars or so on the main island. And then on Cristobal, it's about the same, except for they don't have hostels, I think. So maybe $35 a day. And then you can just decide what tours you want to go on. But even if you don't go on the tours, you can go to a beach where we saw baby sharks swimming, where when we swam out, we saw the biggest sea turtles ever. I mean, we just had such a great experience without having to pay money, additional money. And then you do scuba diving when you want to. But then being in the hostel, we ended up getting groups of people together, like 4 or 5 of us. And we went to the fish street right near our hostel where they have the fresh fish from the day.
Yeah, dude, they had that day's catch. And the way it worked out was you just come to these different vendors, and they had how many? At least 5 different restaurants in a row on that street.
At least. That was just on one side, yeah.
You just walk all of them, you talk to the guys, and you'd negotiate the price, and you'd see whatever fish they had, and then you just went from there about the way you want it prepared, and they gave you 3 or 4 different options. Then you can have it grilled, you can have it steamed, you can have it fried, whatever you have, whatever you want, we'll do it. And it was, I think we had the grilled fish and the brought it in foil.
Did we share one the first day where we got like the really big fish?
We got that big red fish the first night, and man, it was really good.
And I think each of us paid like $8 or something. Like they try to upsell you on drinks.
It wasn't much.
But as long as you're crafty, as long as you're not there having drinks, you just say, no, I'll just have water. Or you bring your own water because it's like 45 Celsius. Not in the night, but then you just eat for like $8, this fresh, amazing fish. And you get to pick them up and look at them before they're grilled. You're like, one night, I don't know if you were there was some girl who knew a lot about fish. And she was like, I don't like the eyes. I don't like the eyes. Do you have any better eyes here? No? Okay. And then we went to the next restaurant. She's like, okay, I like these eyes. These guys died today. We're going to go here.
Never
and
agree.
It was just amazing food.
Never agree with the first tender. Like, you just tell them, whatever, I'm going to go shop around, and what they're going to do is like, no, wait, I'm going to have the best price for you just because you're my friend. Whatever, you're our best customer for tonight, so I'll give you the best, the house price. You know, you don't have to go to any of these other guys. So, I mean, it's pretty much a universal rule anywhere you go to, right? Never agree to the first price given. Just make it look like, hey, I'm going to think about it. I'm not so interested in that. And they'll come back to you and give you a much better price.
And it was such a great experience. Even the bad price was still a great experience. So this is one street that's like 6 or 7 or 8 streets behind the front main street. The main island in the Galapagos, it's not like a beautiful beach. The Galapagos is not like Florida or Spain. You don't have like a beach promenade with a lot of places on most of it. So the main drag has these more basic restaurants that cost at least 2 or 3 or 4 times more. And then you find this street, which I'm just going to call the fish street, and you choose the fish you want to eat. And you can tell after a couple times being there which ones were frozen for a day and which ones have never been frozen. And what do they say? The red ones are endemic. They're like, this is endemic. Don't you want to eat a fish that you can only eat here? This is our fish. It didn't taste as good as the fish that you and I had, though. And I think they give you tip. Yeah, go on.
Another tip for Galapagos, definitely bring your own mask for snorkeling.
Oh my God, yeah.
It does not make sense to pay, what, $10 or whatever they charge.
Yeah, 10 or 15 a day, depending if you want flippers.
Yeah.
Or...
Just bring your own. And it's world-class snorkeling for sure. I mean, you can see marine iguanas sometimes. You can see a lot of things.
And you see the iguanas normally. If you're just walking around, you go to the beaches that you have access to, you see them and they spit at you and you walk by, they're like... And no, nobody told me about that. I didn't even know why I was in the Galapagos. It was just after COVID, and I was like, I want an adventure. I heard about the Galapagos. I'm gonna go there. And then these fucking spitting lizards, and I'm terrified. I remember Jurassic Park. Those little bastards. They're gonna like spit some poison at me like they did to that fat guy.
Yeah. You know what? No, dude, I was more terrified of the sea lions because they're everywhere like dogs. And there was one moment I remember, I think it was on Isabella Island. I was snorkeling and I see this huge black blob coming towards me. And I thought, oh shit, is this a shark or what the fuck is going on? And it was just a playful sea lion moving at this incredible speed. And then about 1 to 2 feet before hitting your face, they just redirect their flow and go somewhere else. And you're like, holy crap, dude.
It's so cool. It's so cool and so terrible. The first time I went in, Isabella, the first time one did that to me, and then one nibbled or bit me right on the leg, and I have a video of it, and I'm just screaming like a little girl. It didn't bite hard. It was just like I just kind of want to see what's going on if I on your leg. No marks, but I got it on video and I'm just screaming my lungs out, and everyone else up there is looking like a fucking shark ate him or something. No, just a cute little seal or sea lion or whatever the hell. Yeah, they love playing with you.
But like you say, you can go on tours if you want to see hammerheads. You got to go diving. You don't have to go diving if you want to go see black tip reef sharks. You just go on a snorkeling tour and they show you a whole bunch of marine life around. And it's
one
amazing.
couple that I met.
You dive into like this cave underwater and you have 5 or more black tip reef sharks housing in there. And man, you could just look at them for as long as you want to. So
that was the snorkel tour from Isabella, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great snorkel tour. It's really a great value for your money. You get to see giant turtles. We got to see a penguin this close. He was up this close while snorkeling, not just canoeing, kayaking. Because if you do the kayak tour, you can also see him close sometimes. But it's never guaranteed because they're actually wild here, and you're not allowed to feed them. They actually follow that one rule. And then, this close. And then he gets in the water and he's got his little head up, and our guide is like squeaking to him. And then he's squeaking back to our guide. It's like he's looking for his mom or something. It was so cool. But tell me, on that tour, I forget the name of it. It's a snorkel tour from Isabella. It's great. But Isabella, you have to take a shuttle to get there. It takes a day to get there. If you're short on time, it's a little difficult to do, but it's beautiful. Tell me, did you see the seahorse?
I actually did, yeah. We did see a single seahorse attached to, I don't know if it was a stick or whatever, underwater. And it was moving maybe less than a foot at a time, but we did see one. Yeah, it was spectacular for sure. I didn't expect to see one, I guess, but...
So tell me, do you think it's real? That's not just because I've been drinking a bunch of wine.
Look, man, I wasn't taking mushrooms or ayahuasca that day, so the sober mind says it is definitely real.
That was a fake seahorse. I'm calling out Ecuador. I'm calling out the Galapagos Islands. I'm calling out Isabella Island. That was a fake seahorse. I saw the same little bastard on the same little stick at the same little outcropping, and here's where all the boats park, and you have to kind of like snorkel in that way and a little bit to the right, and then there's a little stick, and he's attached to it, and he doesn't move, and he magically stays there, apparently across multiple days, multiple weeks, multiple months, and multiple tour groups. When does he eat? When does he poop out his little baby seahorses? I don't know.
Good point.
I think it's fake. I honestly think it's fake. That's so bullshit. It's fake. Everything else is real there that I saw. The blue-footed boobies, those weird little things. It's mostly fun to say their name. And then
And
they
we're
have
not talking
red-footed
about the
boobies, too.
blue-footed boobies you see in Medellin. We're talking about birds here.
I don't want to know about the Smurf boobies that you saw in Medellin.
Hey, actually, did you know that depending on the side of the island and minerals in the algae that the boobies, the birds eat, whatever mineral composition of the algae is, it turns their feet either blue or red.
Really? Well, that's so crazy. Imagine if that happened to us. If you're vegan, you just turn green. If you're a meat eater, I don't know. You just turn Viking beautiful.
Well, I mean, if you eat a lot of carotene, do you eventually turn orange? Like if you take spirulina and eat carrots every day and drink carrot juice, eventually that skin pigment is going to turn.
Did you see
orange-ish.
the dude that used to drink silver? Or like a silver something, and he turned blue?
No.
I think it's called colloidal silver.
Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, look it up. There's this dude who turned blue from it. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I want to go beyond. I want to go beyond the Galapagos. Oh no, wait! I want to tell one more Galapagos story. First of all, seahorse is fake. I'm calling you guys out on it. Also, I don't think I'm going back there. So, well, now I want to tell more stories. There's so many stories to tell. Oh my gosh, you guys, when you travel, stay in hostels. That's where all these stories come from. That's where all these amazing people come from. If you just stay in a hotel alone, you have like 15% of the experience that you have if you stay in a hostel. Maybe you sleep better, but that's not exciting. Are you going to tell your grandkids about how well you slept on the Galapagos? Or that you went to the hostel that was like in the back of the weird little city village and the dogs used to fight every night. And you would hear it as the sun would go down. A group of dogs would come up from this side and start barking, then a group of dogs from here and a group of dogs from here, and they would bark all night long. You could never sleep. It was terror. And then you go and see the fake seahorse. Okay. Sorry,
I'll give you 3 short narratives about how easy it is to make a connection with someone, for maybe a day or just a couple of days. So in Medellin, the hostel that I was staying at, I befriended this Spanish dude from Barcelona. And because I did a kind of a short tour of Western Europe later on, I hit him up when I was in Spain. And he was like, dude, Alex, if you're in my area of Spain, just come hang out, whatever. So I end up hitting him up. I stay in his place for free for a few days.
The real couch surfing.
He gives me a local store of Barcelona. He tells me, see this bar? If you go through the front entrance, they charge you one price. If you go through the back entrance where the locals go, they charge half of that. So shit like that, you would never know unless you were with a local. And then I was trying to figure out how to get from Barcelona to France because I couldn't find any buses. I couldn't find a BlaBlaCar, which a BlaBlaCar is a common way to get between cities in Europe, right? It's ride sharing and it's super cheap and
the original ride sharing
to get around. Yeah. And so then he says, you know what, dude? I've never been to this part of France, Carcassonne, where there is a castle that they used to they used for filming some of Game of Thrones.
Oh,
and
cool.
so he ends up driving us. We split the gas bill, but he ends up driving us to that city in France. We spend the night. He goes back. I continue on. But it's like, dude, where else are you going to meet a person in another country? You only know him for a couple of days, and then he just does this for you when you come to visit him. So that's story number 1. Story number 2 was a Romanian guy I met in Sicily. Same thing. He's like, if you're ever in Romania, come look me up. So I ended up getting to the Transylvania region.
Oh, I hear it's beautiful.
Dude, it's amazing, especially in the fall. It's the best time to go there for sure. Beautiful fall weather. And so he's like, yeah, I live on this land where there's no electricity, there's no running water, but I have a cabin. So if you want to come stay with me, you're welcome to.
Like Lord of the Rings Hobbit. It's awesome. Yeah. Like his Romanian Shire.
Dude, and the guy has an orchard. He has like a vineyard. He has a bunch of shit he's growing there. So he's super self-sufficient. I end up staying with him for 6 days. The first few days, we go out hiking and sightseeing to these different areas. He takes me to his parents' house, and his mom cooks us this traditional Romanian dinner with whatever, pierogi, fried chicken, mashed potatoes. We drink the Romanian liquor, kind of like the local vodka with his dad. It's like, hey, whatever, that's Zdravia, because they speak some Russian too, right? The goddamn leftover communism influence. And then the next 3 days we spent on putting up a frame for his house, because usually when you get that sort of generosity and hospitality from someone, you want to give back. And so I told him, dude, I'll stay with you. I'll help you build the frame for your house, because that's the project you're working on. So the next 3 days, we just ended up working from dusk till dawn, building out all that shit. And hey, that was a pretty cool experience, because I was never in construction before that. He was actually quite surprised. It's like, dude, I didn't expect you to stay here and help me out with this, but it was really cool. And then the last thing, it's not so much about generosity or anything like that, but I meet this French guy in Argentina, in Mendoza, in the hostel. And we hit it off. He gave me some tips on hiking near the Chilean-Argentinian border. And then I don't take any of his contact info, right? I don't have his Instagram, his Facebook, not even his WhatsApp or whatever. Fast forward, at least half a year later, I am in Malaysia. I walked to check into a hostel.
In KL?
I look to my left, and that fucking guy is sitting there working on his laptop.
I love it.
And I'm like, dude, I remember you from Argentina. And he was taken aback, like, what the fuck? Oh shit, no way. And we were just both amazed at how the hell does that happen where two people met in one country 6 months ago, no communication whatsoever. Boom. You meet again in a different part of the world. And it's like, I'm not religious. I would say I'm agnostic at best. Maybe an atheist. But it's like when shit like that happens, I don't know if it's the law of the physics or some snotty people would say, well, it's a statistical possibility that, out of 1 in whatever, 50 million chance that you're going to meet that same person. But it's like, yeah, it's got to be more than that. There's some sort of, like I say, not magnetism, but some sort of a physics law that brings those two same people together in totally different circumstances.
I'll say cheers to that, brother.
It's completely unforeseen, bro.
It's the universe at work for sure. And when you are a traveler, when you are a backpacker, when you sort of join this community, there's no sign-up form. You join it by your own merits, by being there, by showing up. You do see people again, and you tend to see the good people again. I've never actually met someone that I really didn't like again. I've only met someone that was special to me in some way again. Special as in we had a really great connection. And when you have a great connection with people, like you said, oftentimes you don't even exchange information. It's funny. I think girls sometimes don't understand this, but as a guy, it's like we just forget to ask names. Like if I get on really well with you, I forget to even ask your name or anything like that. And then to see them again after 6 months on literally the other side of the world, yeah, that's pretty bitchin' experience, man. I'll say cheers to that. Where were you in Kuala Lumpur?
I was, yeah.
What hostel? Were you at the really nice one with the rooftop?
Dude, but it was by one of the Hindu temples.
I don't know.
It was not too far from the downtown area.
Did it have a rooftop bar? It was a rooftop party area?
No. It was within a 15-minute walking distance to the mosque, the White Mosque.
Okay, I wasn't. I was only there for. I was getting all my repair work done for the crash, but I was in the hostel that had the rooftop bar, and it had private rooms, but it had no bathrooms in the private rooms. So it's very.
So a question to you then about Malaysia: is that where you tried? Did you try the durian there, or where did you try it?
I did not have a very good experience. Wait, oh my goodness. Okay, is Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia? You know, it's kind of funny when you travel so much and for so long. I'm sure you experience this. You'll forget what country you're in, but you'll remember the city. And yeah, it's just anyway. That's how it happens. I did not do anything local or traditional at all because I was totally fucked in Kuala Lumpur. I had to leave Vietnam 2 days after my scooter crash. And when I arrived in Vietnam, I even had to have this lovely mother. I wish I had her contact information. And her daughter, they were both in Da Nang, which is where I flew out of. And they were just so cool. You just meet people and you're like, you're cool. They weren't staying in a hostel. I met them at the airport and they carried my stuff to the hostel for me from the bus that would drop you off in the middle of the city because I couldn't actually carry my luggage. I had to like sort of hold it, but not in my hands. And so they carried it for me. And they were just so amazing. I wish I could find them again. And they had a really interesting story, but I don't feel like it's something I should tell. So I was there for medical care basically because the day I arrived, the nurse who I hadn't talked to since I was at the White Temple in Chiang Rai, this is the thing you brought up earlier, she messaged me and said, "How are you?" And I said, "Funny that you ask. I'm fucked, but I'm healing." And she goes, "You're healing? Show me." Because I told her what happened. And then she goes, "Well, I wouldn't say you're healing. I would say everything is infected." And I just will never forget that message. I'm so upset that I don't have access to this WhatsApp conversation anymore. But she was like, "You're not going to like this." And I'm like, okay, no. Whenever a nurse says, "You're not going to like this," you know it's fucked, man. So anyway, my point is I got very familiar with the pharmaceutical system there.
Okay.
I got very familiar with the medical system there. I went to the King's Hospital. It was great. I got great scans and everything. But that was after I got the infection situation under control. So what I actually did is the pharmacies were kind of weird there, but I found a shop that sold all of the stuff to the pharmacies, so like a distributor. So you could buy gauze pads in like 100 packs. And so I went there and I bought giant, like 1 liter bottles of hydrogen peroxide, 1 liter bottles or big bottles of iodine, hundreds and hundreds of gauze, tons of tape. I bought Silverdine. It's called different names in different languages, but it's a silver paste. And over there it cost $15 for a container that was this big. And how do I do it? Circular. And damn it, I don't know how to do this. Anyway, it was huge. This high and this circular. So 500 grams over a pound of it. I paid like $15, $16, $17. I come back to the US later. A tiny little tube requires a prescription and it's $200. What the fuck is going on here, man? So anyway, I'm now a doctor. I can say that safely because I've had enough wine to believe it. And after that, then I went to the hospitals, and then I went to Singapore because I wasn't certain that I trusted the Kuala Lumpur doctors. So I went to Singapore, and then I had some more stuff because I had travel insurance. And I was like, hey, just guys, this hand, it's this size. But, you know, when I crashed, it was this size. Like, please make sure nothing's broken. Please make sure I can use it for the rest of my life. So I didn't see anything cool except for a rooftop bar that was a former helipad. Did you go to that?
No, I went to, it's funny because Malaysia, parts of Indonesia, I assume some other Southeast Asian countries are Muslim by religion.
Oh yeah, and sometimes people explode in KL. Sorry.
We went
it's true.
To,
it's true.
When we went to tour the White Mosque in Kuala Lumpur, first we tried to get in without
ID?
waiting for the tourist hour. No, not the ID, but the tourist hour. And then the guy sitting at the desk is like, well, are you Muslim? And we're like, yeah, we're Muslims in Russia. And he's like, well, what do you do with this? And he just throws out a term in Arabic. And we're like, well, you know, in Russian, we just call it a different name. So I don't really know what you're referring to, which is bullshit because all Islam is in Arabic, okay? There's no Russian translation or any of that bullshit. So if you're Muslim, if your religion is Islam, it's in Arabic. And so he didn't buy any of that shit. So he said, you motherfuckers are going to have to wait half an hour before we let the tourists in. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. So when we did go in, the tour guide, and you do it for free. You tour the mosque for free. It's cool. And he talked about all these different parts of the interior and the exterior, how they had to bring in artisans from Morocco, for example, to do some of the pillars and other parts of the interior, right? Because they don't have that talent in Malaysia to replicate that. And then he told us that the Malaysians that go to this mosque, they actually do not understand the Islamic writing, the Arabic writing. They can't speak it. They can't read the Quran, but they basically memorize everything.
Wow.
So when they go to pray, they memorize the sound of the words rather than actually reading what's in the Quran.
So do they know what they're saying?
Well, hopefully they do know, but if you were to ask them to read whatever line in the Quran you were looking at, they wouldn't be able to sound it out to you because
they could be saying, I want cheesy bread.
They read and speak Malay, but they do not understand Arabic at all. Exactly, yeah. It could be like the Brazilian bread.
There is a little bit of delay between our conversation, just so everybody knows. I don't know how well it's going to record.
But anyway, another cool place is, I don't remember the name of it, but it's the Monkey Temple with the super colorful stairs. Do you know the pictures of?
Is it in KL?
Yeah, it's you take a short train from one of the KL stations, and you have to walk up these super colorful steps, kind of like the ones you see in Rio in Brazil. And you get to this monkey temple where there's a shitload of monkeys that get fed daily and everything. And if they don't get fed, then they're going to steal some of the shit they see, like chips or whatever other types of shit and snacks you have with you. They're going to take it from you. You know, don't even try to resist, because
monkeys are only cute
there.
when you don't have to interact with them.
Now, the worst monkeys were in Thailand, because those motherfuckers were vicious, man. They didn't fuck around.
Were you ever in Koh
No, I went on Koh Tao for my dieting school, but I didn't go to Koh Lanta.
I forgot to tell people how bad the diving instructors are in Galapagos. I want to say that real quick. Then I want to do one story of Koh Lanta. Then let's get back to the KL temple. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. There's just so many stories. Oh my gosh. The worst diving instructors of my entire life were in Galapagos. Full stop. And it's because they don't allow outsiders who have skills to come in. It's a very closed ecosystem. They only want to give the jobs to the people who are there because they're super coveted. The diving instructor in Isabella was so bad, I think there was only one, that people just wouldn't go with him. They heard about him and they said, no, I'm not going to dive on this island. I mean, seasoned divers who dive everywhere in the whole world, and they dived on the main island. They wouldn't dive with that guy because they were so scared of him. The first dive I went on, a girl lost her tank because they set up everything for you there. And she's just doing her little fins in front of me, down a little bit, and her tank just fell out. And the instructor, had to zoom down to fix it, before she just drowns there at the bottom. My instructor, when I saw the hammerheads, she was evil. She also said horrible things about me in Spanish, thinking that I don't know Spanish, because I come off as super gringo, and I don't let people know that I speak Spanish if it's to my advantage. And so anyway, she said horrible things that if I repeat them, I have to beep them out just because YouTube hates anything. Then, there were some other bad stories, but okay, I want to go to the monkey ones. So anyway, that was a bad enough story. There's 2 or 3 other bad ones. Remind me later and I'll tell the full story. Koh Lanta, though, is more fun. When we were riding our scooters to the south of the island, I had to pee. It was a 40-minute scooter ride, and I get off. And right as I get off, right as I unzip, just like out of the movie Jumanji, you just see these monkeys start coming on the road. There's nothing else on the road, just us, and they just slowly start getting closer to us. And I'm like, hurry, we gotta get on this scooter. And they were just coming to rob us. They just wanted to rob us, little bastards. And so what was your monkey experience in Thailand?
The worst one, okay, I didn't get into a fight. I didn't get bit or anything like that.
The way that you say that makes it sound like you tried to punch a monkey and he just moved out of the way because he's a tiny, nimble little bastard.
Oh, shit. But when I was in Krabi, and there's not a whole lot to do in Krabi. I mean, it's more of a gateway to the more beautiful beach resort places like Aonang. But so in Krabi, I went into, it was a boardwalk going past these mangroves. That was pretty cool, actually. There were some locals fishing. But on the way back, we had 20 monkeys sitting on one of the bridges on the boardwalk, and
like a little gang.
I mean, they were showing teeth. They were not messing around, and it was me and this other guy waiting out to see what happens, and they weren't gonna buck. I mean, they were just staying there, waiting until one of our stupid dumbasses decides to get closer and probably jump us. So we ended up taking a walk around that was maybe a mile longer, but it was safer choice.
That was their territory. You're in the wrong neighborhood, son.
It was a safer choice to do that rather than risk your ass getting bit by one of those monkeys, man. And that's what made me uncomfortable at that monkey temple in KL, because I mean, they were just everywhere, and people feed them bananas and pineapples and mangoes and whatnot. It's just in Hindu religion, it's a normal thing. They're sort of a deity, and not to me, man. I was kind of scared shitless. I was just keeping to myself. And those monkeys, they were an obnoxious gang. I mean, some of them were just making out, doing it in front of you. Some of them were fighting, and you're just trying to stay as calm as you can.
Sounds like you're back in Brazil.
And I know Brazil wasn't as intense, man. I tell you, I'll take going to the Virgin Mary viewpoint in Quito over walking to one of those monkey places in Southeast Asia.
They're terrifying. They are terrifying, and they are evil, and they are moody, and they're aggressive. And if they knew how to make knives, they would definitely shank you.
I think that would make them Scottish. I have a Scottish friend that always talks to me about
Glaswegian.
The preferred weapon of choice for a Scottish person is a dagger. And so they say, like, well, you just want to see the look in their eyes when you stab them. So I imagine it would make those monkeys wear kilts at that point and stick with that Scottish accent that nobody can understand.
Isn't that how they say hi in Glasgow? Hello.
Welcome. That's it.
Welcome to the city. Survive if you can. I've never been to Glasgow, only Edinburgh, or however you want to say it. It's nice, though. That reminds me, did you have a dog experience in South America or Southeast Asia?
Well, I might have eaten the dog unknowingly, but...
We totally did. Street food? You really have no idea what the hell is in street food.
What in those tacos or tamales?
Oh my God! By the way, Mexico's tacos. I'm getting hungry now.
It's like my dad says: when you get to a place and you don't see any dogs around, think about what you're eating, man.
Man, they should eat more dogs in Peru.
They should.
Stray dogs are no longer cute for me. I'm not okay with them. I don't like them. I don't think they should. Just. Sometimes you experience stray dogs in a way where you think you're going to die. Like, for real. Like, not joking, you think you're going to die. Chachapoyas. And I went on a yellow road on Google Maps to get home right after the sunset. And at this point, I know how things work in South America, so I'm a bit scared. I want to make sure I get home. But I had learned that this particular place was safe and this particular way to get home was going to be safe. And it was a city of 50,000 people, and it's in the mountains. So I'm a lot more safe than Quito. Because if the only gringo in the town, maybe there were 5 of us, has something bad happen to him, it's going to be more important than if in Quito. Quito, they don't even care. So I go down this road, which is supposed to be a big road, and it turns into steps. And then the steps stop. And then you have to walk down like a half-meter step to get to the dirt. And then I get to this point where I'm surrounded by dogs on all sides. All different types of dogs. The sun had just set. It's dark. And they're barking at me like they want to fucking kill me.
Yeah, they're like werewolves at this point.
I never experienced that before then. And I've seen stray dogs, and I've seen stray dogs in Asia, and they tell you how to scare them off, and it pretty much works there. Probably because they're afraid of being eaten. like you said.
You just take out... What do you do? What do you do in Asia? You just take out a fork or what?
You just show them, like... No, you pretend to pick up a rock. So you just bend down, because the locals apparently throw rocks at them. So you pretend to pick up a rock, and then pretend to just hold your hand up like this, and then they go away. At least that was my experience in Vietnam and Cambodia. But here, I even have a video of it somewhere. I'm basically pissing myself. I've actually never been more scared in my entire life. And I'm like, if one of them bites me, they're all going to bite me. And just surrounded on all sides, they're just barking and growling and foaming at the mouth. And big dogs, not just these little street dogs like you have in Southeast Asia. Huge freaking dogs. Dude, I've never been more scared in my entire life. And after that, I was like, fuck all dogs that are stray. Fuck all outside dogs. Like, man. Anyway, I think Peru was more traumatizing for me than any other place.
And I have, but totally opposite story. And it didn't happen to me, but it happened to a Scottish couple that are friends of mine. This stray dog, they met him on the way to Machu Picchu. So maybe Aguas Calientes or somewhere like that. And he was totally chill with them. You know, he was just following them, being friendly, and he kept going with them and going. And at one point, I guess they just felt sorry for him that, you know, this is such a nice dog and he has no home. And I wouldn't have done it because I don't have a heart that's so kind like them, but they actually ended up taking him back to Scotland. So
they adopted their Machu Picchu stray dog?
They adopted their Machu Picchu stray dog.
Oh my God.
They gave him all the shit. Dude, they went to all kinds of vets in Peru. They gave him all sorts of shots. They researched all the information about how to legally move him back to Scotland, whatever shots he needed.
Which is a lot of work.
Yeah. And he's been with them for 3 years now, going on 4 years.
Wow. And, that's the coolest dog story. What did they name him? Like after an Incan god or something?
No, they named him Pedro.
Just the basic Pedro. It's Pedro.
But I remember in the beginning, the guy would give him treats regardless whether the dog would perform the trick he wanted him to do or not. He was just like, whatever, dude, you know, you look so cute, here you go. And now he has him trained so well that he does all kinds of shit. And
wow.
I mean, they're absolutely in love with that dog. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, it's a starter pack before you have an actual human child. If you can't take care of a dog, you have no business having a child, man. And so this is where you start. Maybe you don't have to go to Peru for that. You know, you could go to a local dog pound or whatever, or adopt a rescue, man. But yeah, can you imagine the world of this dog to adapt from the Peruvian climate and landscape, and you come to Glasgow, and now you have to
going from eating queet to eating haggis.
It's like you're in this relatively warm climate coming to this cold ass windy fucking place, and you have to now survive in the Scottish world of obnoxiousness and going to bars with your owner to watch soccer games and not freak out when everybody just fucking jumps up and down.
What a ride, especially riding on the plane from all the way down there in Scotland. That's such a wow. Well, that's a good dog experience. Let's end on dog experiences with that one then. And I want to know, I like how I thought at the beginning of this conversation, we could just run through everything in a linear fashion, but that's too boring. Japan. I want to go to Japan. Where did you go? What did you do? And before anything else, tell me. I feel like I'm talking to ChatGPT. Before you answer my question, tell me this.
Here's what I found based on your...
Wait. Oh, yeah. Don't do anything but say yes or no. don't add any filler words, and address me as my liege, which means I'm your liege, ChatGPT. Anyway, you can have fun with ChatGPT. Did you do the Mario Kart experience in Tokyo?
No.
Okay, good. I don't have to kill you.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
I only met one person who got to do it. I'm so jealous. It's the main reason I have to go back to Tokyo, besides the fact that it's amazing. Tell me about Japan. Where'd you go? What experience did you have? And was it the best place in the world, or what?
It was the most nationalistic place in the world that I've been to. That's for sure.
And they don't speak English.
Dude, and everyone I talked to, even some of the people here in the States that I ended up meeting in random places, and we talked about Japan, and it's the same conclusion. It's like, if you're dating a Japanese girl, it's all good and fun, but their family doesn't necessarily want you to marry her. And
That's
it's not so easy. Dude, it's not so easy to actually become Japanese if you're a foreigner. I mean, it's not like you can just find some chick, get married, and get a resident status or whatever, or visa. It's way more complicated, and it doesn't even have to be that complex of a situation. Let's go back to Hiroshima, where it was me, a Welsh guy, and a guy from Seattle looking for one of those bars where you can sing karaoke and drink unlimited for 2 hours. Are you familiar with those? So we find this place in downtown Hiroshima, and the guy from Seattle, he had studied in Japan, so he could kind of speak Japanese.
Oh, wow. That's very difficult. So,
the first place we came to, they pretty much told us to beat it because there was no place for gaijin, for foreigners. It's locals only, dude. It's locals only. So you get your pale white ass out of here.
They do that a lot.
In many places. I mean, Japan, that's why I say it's so nationalistic.
Even in Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, they're super protective of their culture, but it's also kind of a funny experience to be excluded from some of the activities that the locals do. We did actually end up
openly excluded, not just like they come up with some crafty way, like openly excluded from it. Yeah.
But we did end up finding a bar like that, getting shit-faced drunk. They did actually politely kick us out with about half hour left to go because we just kind of took over that place singing Tom Jones and this and that. And the guy at the bar said, he pointed at the clock, or the wristwatch, and said, you guys might want to cut it for tonight. So we did end up getting the hell out of there. But, oh man, that night was crazy. The Seattle guy was teaching the Welsh guy how to do, I'm over my partying days sort of now, but,
Jaeger bombs?
What is it called? Like a gunshot? No. When you puncture a can of beer and then you do like a,
oh my God, shotgunning.
Shotgun, yeah, shotgun a beer.
Generally like a 19, 20-year-old thing, but yeah.
He was shotgunning one of those 9% alcohol seltzers. So he would do some of it, and then he would throw up, and then he would continue. The rest of that can.
Why did we get kicked out of the bar? I don't know. Je ne sais pas.
Dude, but this is part of being a local. You see these Japanese guys that are shit-faced drunk. They come out of the bar. They pretty much piss anywhere in the street. That's exactly what we did. You just pissed behind a 7-Eleven, and nobody cares about it. I mean,
were you in
just
ghetto Japan? Everybody where I was so much classier than that. You guys are just,
Um,
you were in the ghetto.
I've been to some
Samurai
ghetto places in Osaka, maybe Hiroshima. I don't know about Tokyo, man, but as far as the beautiful scenery goes, there is an island off Hiroshima called Miyajima, and you have one of those arrayed pillar gates, the torii, the red torii sticking out from the ocean, so it's kind of a high tide, low tide situation.
Oh, that's where they take the photos, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
And it was a fantastic place to come to. It was also during the sakura, the cherry blossom season, so February, March.
Did you get to see the beautiful trees? And...
The whole of Japan was blooming at that time. It was amazing.
So much. It's one of those things that doesn't seem real. It just seems like fake promo for Japan, and then it turns out it is real, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and pretty much anywhere you go. I saw that in Hiroshima, in Tokyo, in Osaka, they have so much green space, although, of course, everything is super developed as far as infrastructure goes, but still, they have a lot of nice green space for people to enjoy.
So where did you stay in Tokyo? What area or what hostel or what? Did you stay in the sumo area? Asukasa? Or did you stay closer to the party area?
No, it wasn't close to the party area.
Then you must have been in some, I don't know, random sewer.
Well, sort of, it was sort of a kind of a sewer. Because I think it had some of the cheapest okonomiyaki in all of Tokyo.
What the hell is that?
It's like those, what is it, prawn or shrimp, but it's like in a little bowl. It's deep fried.
It sounds good or sounds terrifying.
It's good, man.
Like, tell me, what was your favorite food?
In Japan?
For me, it was the tempura. By far. And it was nothing like I ever had in the U.S.
We used to go to this place for breakfast. Just a small kiosk. You go behind a curtain, and there is room for maybe 8 to 10 people. And again, nobody speaks English.
Is this Golden guy?
No.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
But so it's this dude... Because you mentioned tempura.
Yeah.
It's this dude that makes miso with different fillings. So like he'll put tempura, or he'll put kitsune, which is fried tofu. So he had different variations. It was super cheap, super local, but that was really good. I mean, I gobbled down that broth, that miso. It was a huge bowl of it, and I almost immediately had to go to the bathroom based on the intake of fluids after that. But man, I would eat it till the very bottom,
Now tell me, how did you order your food?
Google Translate. What other ways?
Oh, so you spoke with the person, or you showed him your phone?
I showed them my phone.
Because there's a lot of places, I don't know if you experience this, where you order from sort of a vending machine. Like you put your money in the vending machine, you push a button, and then you get a ticket. And the vending machine is old style. It's not digital. Everything is in their crazy characters. And then you get the ticket, and then you go up. You don't even speak. You hand it to them. You sit down, and then your food comes.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Like breakfast places like that, but also like if you wanted noodles, you do it the same way in some of the restaurants.
What do you think of udon noodles?
I fucking loved it, man.
I was never a noodle person until then.
I love the atmosphere. Somebody comes in and they order, and the Japanese yes is high. So it's like, and do you hear that all over? Like,
And man, they specialize. If it's a udon noodle place, that's what they make. Everything else is just to accentuate that. If it's a tempura place, that's what they make. The noodles are there for the tempura. If you're at the noodle place, the noodles are there. Everything else is there for the noodles. They focus on it. They specialize. They make it amazing. I went one night, once again, hostel life, baby. I'm at the hostel, and this girl says, I want to go to this dumpling place. Like, who wants to go with me? It's in the common room. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd like to go with you. I got nothing to do. Why not? You got a plan. It's amazing when someone else has a plan. You're like, I just get to follow now and go do this amazing thing they figured out. We wait outside in the rain for 25 minutes, I think, or so, maybe more, maybe less. We get in there. It's a dumpling place. All they had, it's packed. All they had was fried dumplings, steamed dumplings, bean sprouts, beer. That's it. Amazing. Just the best. And affordable. Japan is super expensive, but not the food. I never paid more than $8 to $10 for a meal that was epically amazing in central Tokyo. I only paid more for special meals, like a special eel meal and the special Kobe beef meal. Everything else, so affordable. 7-Elevens, I'm getting a little tipsy. I'm getting excited. I'm talking too much. Tell me about 7-Elevens in Japan, fine sir.
Oh, well, it's not just 7-Elevens. You have at least 3 different chains, right? Lawson's, and I can't remember what else was there. But yeah, you go in, you can get pre-made meals, whether it's tofu, whether it's whatever else. They'll heat it up for you right there at the store, give you chopsticks, or if you're a typical gaijin, they'll give you a fork and a knife.
And it tastes good, right?
And it tastes pretty goddamn good, yes. But to me, if you want something that is not of highest quality, but is a super fun experience, go to one of the conveyor sushi restaurants.
I didn't go.
Where all the families go. It's the funniest thing. You basically, you come to this place, you get seated, right? You have all the typical things you serve sushi with, like pickled ginger and the wasabi and whatever, the soy sauce. And you essentially order whatever you want on an iPad. And then on this conveyor that runs all throughout the restaurant, you don't even talk to a server. There is no server. You order something on an iPad, and then it comes to you on a plate right to your table. You hear the ding. It stops in front of you, and you take it, man, and you just eat it right there. And it is super inexpensive. I think for 2 people, we got full of sushi for maybe €15 total.
For both of you.
And I mean, you can get stuffed. That's why it's not, your super high quality yellowfin, bluefin, although they do serve some of that fish, but it's more for families. So you have a family outing with a group of 5 or 6, and they just get stuff there.
The food is fresh.
Oh, yeah. No, it's good. It's good, man.
I got a thing when I travel. I'll try everything once. And it's put me in some pain in some places. Never once in Japan did I have any issues with food. Same with South Korea, actually. Never once. I didn't even have a stomach ache. I wasn't constipated, no diarrhea, nothing. Everything was perfect. And I remember one morning after going for an all-nighter, it was so funny. Well, now I want to tell the story. We go out to Golden Guy with some South Americans. And this is before I had been to South America. But, South Americans, they're a loud folk. And Japanese are not a loud group of people. And they're also a big group of them. So we were 10 or 12. So at first we were 4. We were able to get into a couple bars at Golden Guy, which is a super small place, which requires another story to explain because it's so amazing. And you have to go to Golden Guy, and it's my favorite place in Japan. Every bar has a seat for like 8 to 12 people. The owner is there. He'll stay there as long as you're there, except for a lot of them don't let foreigners in, but the ones that do, it's real fun. So anyway, then more South Americans come because apparently they have like a South American beacon and they just know when they're out. So we become a group of 12 to 15. So then we go to, I forget the name of the bar now. I think it was Cheers. No, I'm saying it wrong. I think it was the Cheers bar. Anyway, it's an American bar and it was in Japan. And we were thinking, oh my gosh, okay, there's only going to be a bunch of foreigners there, just full of gaijin. We go in. Big bar, just like you expect. It's underground, except for it is 98% men. They're all wearing suits. Everybody's smoking. Everybody is smoking. No smoking freely on the streets, but once you're indoors, smoke wherever you want, basically. And there were 3 girls there. And I know that because a South American guy forced me to go up with him to hit on them. And I was like, bro, I've been in Japan for 3 days. You've only been here 1 day. You don't understand. This will not work. So we go up to hit on them. Failed so miserably. When we approached them, everyone in the bar just looked at us. I mean, it was so clear it was going to fail. But anyway, then we go back to our group. People start getting more and more drunk and more drunk. And we are loud. And you know how hostelers and travelers are. You drinking, put your elbow down, you look over. Oh, hey, man, come join us. So our group becomes huge. And we end up sort of adopting like 10 or 15 Japanese people. All the people around us. Suddenly, all these silent people can't stop talking. It's amazing. It's beautiful. We're all talking. We're all having a great time. Suddenly I become John Wayne. The other guy becomes Godzilla, which is apparently not Godzilla. You don't say Godzilla, it's Godzilla. So I'm John Wayne in the Wild West, and that guy's Godzilla. And we just have the best time. And come 2 or 3 a.m. as the bar starts closing, you have a bunch of people who are really drunk and sleeping like this, but causing no trouble, and they're not kicked out. Very different from Europe and the US. It turns out they had to go to work the next day. And that's another discussion about their culture, which is insane work culture. If your boss goes out, you have to go out. But then you can't afford to get home because the taxi for us to get back to our hostel was $350. So we were like, yeah, no, I think I'll stay here. And that was like a 40 minutes away or something, I don't know, or 30 minutes. So 2 journalists, nobody really knows, sort of adopt me because I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be in Japan all the time, so I'm staying out all night. So I'm going to keep going and keep going and keep going. So South Americans are gone, then it's 2 journalists and me. Then we go back to Golden Guy to a place where they know that says no foreigners allowed, but we get in. And then it's just the owner, the 2 of them, and me. And you know what I love? Doesn't matter what culture you're from. What are a bunch of guys who are drinking at 4 a.m. going to talk about? Women. It doesn't matter what culture you're in. You can bond on that. And so you just immediately come together. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's having a great time. They're talking about their girlfriends and wives and everything. And, you know, I'm talking about what it's like back home. And it's a great experience. And we get hammered. I am not allowed to pay for anything. I did not have to pay for a single drink. They wouldn't let me do it. So all of a sudden you go from these super racist people who won't even let you in some of the bars to the people who are the most hospitable people I've ever met. It really throws your brain for a loop. But then back to the food aspect of it. I just wanted to tell this story, but this is the connection with our previous topic. We go for breakfast. And we go to like kind of a Japanese diner place. And they have a metal, the little thing like the drink machine with the big plastic buttons that are in Japanese, and you put your money in. It's like $8 or whatever. Push the button and you get a little ticket at the bottom. and then you hand it some gigantic sumo-looking dude on the other side of a counter, and we all get a tray. And I just asked my guys, I was like, what should I get? Like, I want a big breakfast. Give me a big breakfast. And, they push it, so I get it. We sit down, and that's the first time I ever had a raw egg. An uncooked raw egg on the rice. And I didn't even know it was a raw egg at first, and I'm still pretty lit. So I'm trying to stab the egg with my chopstick because I think it's a hard-boiled egg. And they just take it from me, crack it over the rice, and then use their magical ninja chopstick skills to mix it in. And I'm thinking, okay, I know I'm going to be sick for a day, but I just got to do this. This seems like the worst idea ever. But I got to try it. Dude, not a single issue. Maybe I had a slight burp that came up a few hours later. Not a single issue. Didn't have to go to the bathroom. No stomach pains. No nothing. And then in the West, they're like, oh yeah, you eat a raw egg, you're going to get salmonella and you're going to die. So I don't even know what's real anymore. All I know is I never got sick from any of the food there, and I ate all of it.
And don't forget that in Japan, you're expected to consume food in a loud way. If you're eating udon noodles, you got to slurp them. You can't.
You want to give an example for the video?
Politely eat there. Well, I wish I had some noodles to give it as an example, but you get the point, man. I mean, any place you went to, it was just like a symphony of eating noodles, slurping, whatever. You got to make as many sounds as you can. Otherwise, the chefs are going to look at you funny and say, I don't think he's enjoying whatever we gave him.
It's not a joke. Like, I thought that was like a old wives' tale or something. Everything you're told not to do at home, that your mom smacks you for, it's like, don't do that. You do that. The noodle slurping, people don't understand how loud it is. They really don't. You said that too calmly. I feel like I wish we could give a demonstration. It is just the most awful, aggressive, loud sounding way to eat food that you've ever heard in your life, and somehow it makes it taste better.
Don't forget to burp. Like I say, man, it's a competition of who can make the most noise.
I kind of want to do it.
That does make the chefs happy.
That
makes the chefs happy. Yes.
But it's in your ears because you're shoulder to shoulder with everybody, and they give you bips because when you slurp, it splatters. It's like the most uncouth way to eat in the most sort of proper acting society ever.
But you know what, though, man? Japan, it was a relatively how do I not say it? Sanitized, I guess you'd say, experience as far as what foods you eat. I never saw street food that would sell chicken intestines or duck embryos in eggs, or I don't know, livers and the cow guts or whatever it is. All of that I got to try in the Philippines, man. You go to Philippines, they don't waste anything. I mean, they eat all parts of the animal. Nothing gets wasted.
Where were you in the Philippines? Did you go to Manila?
I didn't go to that many places. I went to Manila, which is definitely an interesting experience.
That's such a politically correct way to put it.
It's a total slum, right? And
that's the best, nicest way to describe Manila.
Yeah, the most interesting homeless sighting I had was it wasn't in a jeepney. I was riding one of the local buses.
I forgot those. Those are awesome, by the way. Those World War II Jeeps turned into buses. All right, go on. Sorry.
Dude, I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But so I'm riding in a local bus, and we go past this intersection where there's a homeless dude standing completely naked, except for the brown paper bag on his head. So you can't see his face. You can see everything else, which I think kind of makes him an incognito. A homeless guy. Maybe it was a social experiment just to see what happens and how people react. But it was cool. Actually. It was just, I mean, yeah, he was an art studio model, and he was posing at the time or getting ready to pose. But it was just completely naked except for the brown paper bag, when he said. But the jeepneys, man, I got to ride inside of those, on top of those, on the side of those.
On top?
Where the hell did you go? I mean, some places, man, like, stuff. No, you get there when there's no more room left inside, and so they tell you, hey, unless you want to wait half an hour, you got to go up top.
Gringo
so you just hang on to the bars. You hang on to the bars, man. And they have the best advertising you would ever see. I mean, all sorts of ads, right? Starting from a local dental clinic to getting a laser circumcision. And they say, becoming a man. If you're tired of being a boy and you want to become a man, come to this laser circumcision clinic or whatever street, and we'll take care of you. All sorts of shit like that. And the directions are totally... Dude, the directions are totally chaotic. You have dozens of different jeepneys riding on the same street, but they have all different routes. So if you think, hey, they must be going towards where I'm going, hell no, man. You better know which number you got to take, because they could take you to a totally different part of town.
And these are sort of like local buses, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the cheapest form of transportation, and it's a cool experience. It's super uncomfortable. I mean,
that's the best way to describe
it. Kids were throwing up and all kinds of crap happening inside. There's no air conditioning. You just sit on a bench seat. At best, that might have some cushions on it. Usually, you just sit on a leather that's directly stapled to a wooden bench. So if you don't have a nice ass that will give you some cushion, you basically are going to be rubbing your bones on wood, which was the case for me.
They look cool, though.
Yeah,
they do look cool from the outside.
Super cool, man.
I should put like a photo up above us. Speaking of the jeepneys, they are World War II Jeeps that they made longer and turned into sort of city shuttle buses that anybody can get on.
They're like ghetto school buses.
Yes, because they don't have any real windows or any real door on the back, and that's how you get on. It's just
that's it, man.
When I was on one in Manila, which you don't ever want to do, but it's an experience. So that one time there was a gigantic truck to the left of us, and it just shot all of its exhaust, all of its like black sooty exhaust, right into the jeepney. That was, you're like, I'm gonna die. Just why did they tell me to stop smoking cigarettes again? Like, that just took 10 years off.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Manila is so messed up. I have a great story. I don't want to tell now. I got pickpocketed there, and the hostels, they're in a very interesting area, is a nice way to put it. Even the high-rated ones. But then you go to the islands. That's amazingly beautiful. It's crazy. I don't understand. Manila is like a future dystopian city. You know when they make movies about how bad can it get in the future? That's Manila.
Like Idiocracy.
Yeah, kind of like Idiocracy. I feel like a little bit Idiocracy, a little bit of Terminator, a little bit of Blade Runner, minus the technology. But I loved I have to say, I loved the Filipino people.
No,
they were always
the Filipinos
so nice.
Are hands down the friendliest people you'll ever meet. And of course, it helps that all of them speak English amazingly, so there is no communication problem. But they are super friendly. They're super outgoing. I think karaoke is the Filipino national sport.
They remember your name, man. I was in one city, I think it was El Nido. The whole island has been ruined now, which is a big story. You can never go back to places where you had a great experience like that, because now they have a fucking resort there at the beach. Not El Nido. But anyway, I'm in El Nido. There's a hostel that I want to go to. It's a popular hostel. A lot of great people there. So I'm in a hotel and I want to move to the hostel, actually. I feel like people would think, oh, you have a private room with your bathroom. Why would you want to move to the hostel? Because that's the fun hostel where all the fun people stay, where all the staff are fun and amazing. So I go to the front desk and I ask, like, can I stay here? Do you have any rooms or any beds available for any days in the next week? And the answer was no. I'm there for maybe 20, 30 minutes, probably have a good chat with them. Nothing special. We laugh a bit, then I leave. 4 days later, I go to the special beach at the top of the island, which I think is Nakpan Beach, N-A-C-P-A-N Beach, which is now fucked. And I'm going to say that. It's fucked. Don't go there. Don't go stay in that fucking resort. You don't understand what you're doing and how they pushed the local people out who had been there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years living as fishermen to build that stupid fucking resort. And one of the security guys that came in to clear them out was killed, by the way. And they tried to stop gringos from going in there. And I had learned what was really going on. And I said, fuck you. And I knew at this point, I was like, these security guys aren't going to touch a gringo. If they touch a gringo, it's a big problem for them because it can be in the news. Yeah. And I knew what had actually happened. But they try to scare you because they have big machine guns and they stand there and they tell you not to go to that side of the beach. Like, fuck off. Then I go to the other side of the beach. Then I meet all these amazing people. And the guy who technically owned the land but said they could live there forever changed his mind once a developer made him a big offer. And then completely destroyed their way of making money by selling fish, by not allowing anybody to go to that side of the beach anymore, because usually you get scared when a guy has a big machine gun and tells you can't go there. But the guy learned that I could. So anyway, sorry, that's a tangent off a tangent off a tangent. But I wanted to say, because it pisses me off so much, and now people are sitting in expensive sunbeds on that amazingly beautiful, formerly secluded beach, lived in by locals, and now it's just, if you find a beautiful spot that people haven't ruined, don't tell anyone about it. Don't tell anyone about it, because that's what happens. So anyway, I met them 4 days later. I'm at Nakpan Beach. And at that time, it was a bit of a deal to get there. You take the trikes. Do you remember the trikes? The three-wheeled tricycle things?
Yeah, I took some of those in northern Luzon, north of Manila, yeah.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I slipped a disc in one of those little bastards. Oh, everything over there is like 12, 13-year-old me was handed a welding torch and said, just make some cool shit without learning about springs or suspension. It's so terrifying. And you sit there with your big bag, and how can you fit in it? It's hard to describe. Hopefully I'll put a picture of it up. Anyway, I go to the beach. I'm at the beach. I'm having a great time, and I'm walking back. And the beach is sort of attached to what is a little village at the time, but like an actual village. And I see the people at the front desk who I met 4 days ago, and they're waving at me. These 4 Filipinos. John, come here. They remembered my name, even though they see tons and tons and tons of backpackers. They invited me over, and we hung out. Just to what you said about how nice they were, but then I made it a bit of a longer story. Just amazingly nice people. Amazingly nice.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to El Nido. I went to Cebu Island, Cebu City, and actually one cool place there was there is a small town called Boal, where you can swim with schools of sardines, and you don't have to take a tour or anything like that. You just swim, God, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 feet off the beach, and just look in the water, and there's a huge cloud, like a ton of sardines. And anytime
awesome.
anybody gets close to it, it just opens up into like this funnel. So you can technically swim into the funnel if you get really close to them. But you have to be careful then, because I didn't even think about it. I spent so much time snorkeling that I ended up getting one hell of a sunburn on my back. So for the next 5 days, I was just recuperating, applying aloe vera on my back. I couldn't even sleep on my back. I had to sleep on my stomach because the son of a bitch hurt so bad. So another lesson learned is you gotta take a t-shirt or something like that with you and swim in it, because if you don't, you're gonna get sunburned really bad.
The day you learned about white skin. Did you not get burned in Galapagos?
No, I didn't actually.
That's impressive. That's really.
I mean,
impressive.
I think I was smart enough to wear a sleeve shirt when we went on that snorkeling trip. But yeah, in the Philippines, I just got lost in that marine life, and they had one of those sea snakes or ocean snakes. They call the white and the black striped ones. They're actually poisonous, so you don't want to get close to them.
That sounds horrible.
But yeah, you see all kinds of things just a few feet off the beach, because
you saw one of them?
Drops. Yeah. You
Dude,
can
fuck that.
Don't get close to them, but admire them from a distance.
You learn how
Kinda
fast you can swim.
Kind of like a grizzly bear, you know. Don't go playing with them, but admire them from a distance.
Yeah, I admire them from Google Images.
I actually did see a grizzly bear in Montana a few months ago, and yeah, I was.
What do you do? Just make a lot of noise?
No, with the grizzlies. So
Cry a little bit.
for anyone who wants to learn, remember that saying: if it's black, fight back.
Yeah.
If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, good night. Basically, if you meet a polar bear, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be dinner.
So you know what? If you meet the polar bear, you might as well go down fighting. Maybe you'll end up in Valhalla. Better chance of being there if you fight than not.
Or, you know, offer them Coca-Cola, like we're supposed to believe, watching those commercials that they're snuggly and fuzzy, and they like sugary drinks. So perhaps that's your escape plan. Are you talking about the polar
bears?
Yeah, perhaps that's your escape plan, is you give them a bottle of Coke.
It's the same with the polar bears as it is with the narcos in Peru. Or Bolivia or Colombia. Oh man. I feel like this is a good end.
Yeah.
We have been
lessons learned is how we end it.
3 hours, 5 minutes. We should do that. We should do like some sort of how-to guide or some sort of danger guide. And always at the end should be something about polar bears. And you should just say, hand them a Coca-Cola.
No, we should end with that. Here's how we should end it. Just a general advice of mine to anyone watching would be, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. That is the best way to explore, to meet new people. If you're an introvert, go hang out with a bunch of people. If you're scared of heights, go do bungee jumping or skydiving or something like that. And if you're like me and you worked for 10 years without ever going on vacation, technically speaking, just go out for a year, travel the world, and it'll be absolutely worth it, man, because if you did the typical way, at least for the Americans, and you work your ass off until you're 62, and then you buy a big-ass motorhome, and you can't walk for more than about 100 yards from that motorhome, it's a worthless vacation, man. So do it in your 20s when you can mess up, do stupid shit, and it will not come back to bite you in the ass. Do it in your 20s, 30s, whatever. But just the main thing is don't just stay in your comfort zone. You got to get out of it. That's the best way to learn about life, man.
Well, I say cheers to that, brother. I almost forgot. The lovely Rose of Scotland, I believe. Yeah. Lovely gal. Met her in Sevilla. She wants to know, what is your favorite country that you visited? And I should probably check if there are any other questions.
You know what? I'll give you my favorite country in each region. So that would be Ecuador in South America, just because it's so diverse for a relatively small country. I mean, you have the amazing marine life in Galapagos, you have city life in Quito, you have snow-capped volcanoes like Cotopaxi or Chimborazo, man. So a lot to see. In Europe, it's kind of a tie between France and Spain. I like the vibes in Spain better. French. I tried to learn French. It's a pain in the ass language. Although I'll give you the best word I did learn in French, because it's just so creative. There is a specific word for a term meaning to strike somebody or hit somebody on the face with your penis. And that word is bifler, Bifler. As far as I know, French is the only language that actually assigned a single word to that description. And then Asia, man, Philippines, just because of the people and the vibe there, dude.
Okay. Well, that was the only question that I got, since I only asked people for questions an hour before this. But Rose, lovely, lovely gal who I met in Sevilla this year, or last year, I guess now, 2024. There's the answer.